everybody. Glad to have you all here. John, thank you for joining me again.
My pleasure. Happy to do it.
I'm going to run through some hellos real quick, and then we will jump into some questions. Disclaimer before that, in case you had not assumed or guessed from the title, this is not going to be a fish talk. That's not to say that we're going to specifically avoid fish, but there are a lot of other things that I would like to talk to John about and get his opinion on. So please don't be disappointed if we don't talk about your favorite fishy today. That being said, thank you, Yanji Yang, Griffin Fish Room, Rose Aquatics, Big J Fish Keeper, Danikin Aquatics, Mike at the Fish Tank Barn, William Pridemore, Recon's Aquariums, Clinton, Candy Overhauls, Sherry Kramer, hello, Fish Keeper Cole, welcome, glad to have you here, Science Gal Aquatics, Sandy Dowdy, Sand Creek Aquatics, and I think I made it to the bottom rather quickly there. All right, good deal. I appreciate you all showing up today. Yeah, Fish Keeper Cole says the cat's on the tank. That's where the cat lives, I do believe.
He does.
But
I'm just sharing this out on my community page here real quick while we're.
Oh well, thank you. I appreciate you doing that. Zen Ginger, hello and welcome to you. I hope you got my answer there, Griffin, to your question. I would recommend a Top Fin 8000 if you're looking for a little bit bigger pump. It's got 4 ports. You can handle. I've seen people do up to 16 tanks off of it. I do 8 off of it. So since that's a slightly techie question, that's my recommendation there for you.
I am going to completely interrupt your live stream.
Go for it.
You just
how dare you
subscribers and I didn't even know it.
I did. Yes.
That is absolutely amazing because last time we spoke, you had like 750.
Yeah.
And now you're passing 1,000. That's absolutely incredible. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you very much. That was last night before last. It was Thursday night because I follow you on the late night, which is technically 12:30 a.m. our time Friday morning. But it was during that stream, like 5 minutes before the end of that stream. Had a lot of people go call in reinforcements and kind of got
awesome. So it happened live on your stream then. Oh, that's incredible. That's amazing. I love it.
That was, and that's a huge shout out and thank you to you. You've helped with that, as well as Bob Steenfott and LRB. LRB actually came and hung out for about 3 hours on a live stream one night while he was doing water changes.
And then he didn't beat me and Bob. We did 5 and a half.
Yeah, you all are the record holders on that one.
I've never even done one on my channel that long.
Right. Not his most recent video, but I think the video before that, LRB was like, "Hey, check this out," and he had the live stream pulled up on his laptop and was like, "Go check out Fish Room Fever and these other channels that are on there." And I was like, "Oh, thank you, awesome. Appreciate that." So, yeah, oh yeah, it's been I couldn't have done it without the community. So a huge shout out and thank you to everyone. I don't know what I'm doing that people like. I just tend to yap and talk. And I was actually thinking about that. And this kind of goes into the whole YouTube. It's not really tech, but it is a YouTuber type thing. I'm really not, I don't want to call myself a creator anyway, so to speak, but I really don't even consider myself a creator at this point as much as I would like to be one. Because the majority of what I do is not creation. I've done a couple of what I feel for just starting out decent edited videos, but most of what I do is almost more of a personality than a creator, if you will. So I'm trying to get more into the creator side of things.
Well, I mean, you're creating videos.
Well, yeah.
I mean, any way you want to define it, you are a creator. If that's a title that makes you feel better about yourself, you know what I mean? I just call myself a YouTuber, but creator is definitely something that would, I mean, unless you're just like sharing home videos of your kids' ball games and stuff like that. If you're creating a piece of content for YouTube, you're a creator. Call yourself that.
Yeah, and I can agree with that. My thought process, because this is kind of what goes through my head at work when I've got YouTube in one ear and putting stuff on a shelf, is I was like, okay, I've got 1,000 subscribers. What are people coming to my channel for? What are they coming to see? And I'm like, well, they don't really come from my videos necessarily, my shot and edited uploads. They really come for the entertainment aspect more than the fish information. And I'd like to get to where I can make some really nice quality edited informational videos, which is part of why I'm picking your brain today.
Good. Pick it.
But before I get into the YouTube tech part of it, I want to ask you about the drone, because I know you love the drone.
Oh boy, sure.
So I heard was it Peter McKinnon was talking about the Mavic drones earlier when it was like a 9 gifts for photographers thing, I think it was. So tell us what you've if you've gotten to play with it, and if you've gotten any good footage, and like what you've been shooting with it or any of that.
I would not call anything that I've gotten really good footage. I'm uploading a video tomorrow. It's a 10 Things episode, and there actually is some drone footage in there that applies to what I'm talking about in the video.
Oh, nice.
And Lisa gave me a little pat on the back when she watched the video, because I was able to include the drone footage. But because it's wintertime and because everything out there is kind of gloomy and gray right now, I can't say that I've gotten any really good footage, but I've had fun with it. It's been a good time. And the places that I've gone where there are other people, it always draws a crowd. You know, you put it on the ground and it takes off, and people are like, "Oh, is that one of those things?" And they come up and they ask a million questions and stuff like that. How does it work? How do you do this?
Yeah, you're trying not to crash it, and they want to know everything about it. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I actually told Zenzo Tazawa this last night, because he texted me last night because he finally got his, and I told him, I said, these things practically fly themselves, because he was saying he's nervous to go fly it for the first time. I said, don't be. I mean, these things, you actually have to do something really stupid or actually try to crash these things. I mean, because they have sensors on them, they'll automatically stop. I freaked Lisa out because I flew it straight at me, and she was like, oh, but it stops, you know, like 10 feet away, and it just stops like Tron. So, you know, you really do have to try to wreck these things. You got to be doing something stupid. So,
well, and that's good to know, because the only drone experience I have is with like the cheaper $30 to $50 ones. Playing around with those, and those definitely don't have sensors or anything. Those are, at least in my experience, the one that I crashed several times, quite easy to wreck. So I was going to ask if you had any close calls, but it seems like that's got a lot of features to avoid those.
The second time I took it out, I flew it under a bridge. I mean, it's not nearly as difficult as you might think. I was the exact same way that Zenzo was saying. I was expecting it to be very hard, and I was going to be in a wide open field. That way, you know, there's nothing that's going to possibly happen. But literally after flying it 5 minutes, I was like, it's like playing a video game. You know, you're just looking at the screen and you're just flying, and you don't even realize what's happening, you know. So it's very easy and very fun and very expensive.
Right. Oh, and you've got the Mavic Mini, is that correct?
I have the Mavic Air.
Air, okay.
I was originally going to get the Mini, but I didn't want to wait a month to get it.
That's right.
And so I ended up paying a little bit more and got the Mavic Air, which is a couple of steps up from the Mavic Mini. But when you move up, it actually, oh my God, this cat. It comes with features that make flying easier, like the more sensors. Mine has sensors on the back, on the front. So what will happen to a lot of people I've seen on YouTube is they'll be flying backwards. You know, the drone is actually flying away from them backwards, and they're watching the screen, which is showing forward, and they like fly it right into a tree or something like that. Well, mine won't do that because it has sensors on the back. So, you know, when you pay a little bit more money, you get better cameras, you get more options, and you get more safety, if you will. So,
gotcha. So is that I'm going to make an assumption here. We know how those go, but is that 4K recording, or the option to, I guess?
The option to, yes. And the Mavic Mini doesn't have 4K, so that's another benefit. It's there if ever I want it, but
I was going to say you're a 1080p guy
I'm a
anyway.
1080p guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's there. I mean, it is future proof to an extent,
Gotcha. Yeah, because I've heard, and this is not saying it's around the corner, and these people weren't either, but people talking about, well, 8K is a thing, and eventually and I'm like, yeah, that's down the road a little ways, but
Yeah, it's a thing if you're filming the next Avengers movie,
right, yeah.
But for us idiots out there, no, come on.
Well, it's like I forget exactly what it was, but it was one of Peter McKinnon's videos, and it was like 5,500K raw footage or something like that. I kind of looked at the thumbnail as I was going through. I was like, that's just way above my pay grade. Can't do that. So in terms of I'll start with your studio setup, and then I'll pick your brain about filming videos and setups for that. Do you have, I'm sure you have a lighting setup in there. I'm going to assume that you don't just have the overhead light on and that's it.
No, in fact, no lights except for the fish tank lights are on except for my studio light. Only one right now. Usually we have two if it's me and Lisa, but yeah, there's studio lights.
Are they like the panel LEDs, or are they the I've seen a couple different kinds, like the single bulb with the white cloth drop box, or
I'm seeing if I can. I mean, you can't really see it. Hang
okay.
on. It's a soft box. It's actually pointing up. And sorry, now the camera's all messed up. Give me a second, because all the cords are all over the place now.
No problem.
So it's actually pointing up to the ceiling for two reasons. One, my bald head is so reflective that if I point it straight on me, it's like, woo, I look like my head's on fire. And for two, the fish tanks, you can barely, if you look right there at the top of the glass, you can barely see the bottom, or no, it's not there. It's right there. If you see that little line right there, that's actually the very bottom of the light. So I point it up so that you don't see the reflection of it in the tank behind me, and also because of my bald head.
Absolutely. And that's well, and also for light diffusion, if I'm not mistaken, right? Give off better lighting for.
Yeah, and doing this in front of fish tanks is the biggest challenge, because how do you light yourself without it showing up in the tanks? That's been a challenge ever since I started making these videos.
Absolutely. That's well, I guess a lot of people don't think about that, but that even came from just a tactical sense of awareness in terms of life is full of mirrors, if you will. Everywhere you go, there's reflective surfaces. When you get into trying to film things that are in a glass box, that's I was going to ask you about that in particular when we get to the filming part of it. But yeah, that's one of those things that it's fun to try and get around. Like even right now, just where I'm not feeling well, you can see both of my monitors. Oop, I did that thing.
Yep.
In there. Normally I dim them out and all that stuff. But it can be a challenge to try and figure out how to get the lighting you need. And I think it's, like you said, more difficult for us with the aquariums than it is for a lot of other people that have to do their lighting, because they're not having to worry about reflective surfaces.
It definitely is. I don't think the challenge for us is going to be as difficult when we're downstairs, when we're in our basement, as far as the stream goes, because my 360 that's right behind me, I mean, that's how close it is to me. And I mean, it's 4 feet behind me, where it's going to be, I don't know, probably 12 feet behind me.
Right.
When we're down there. And then Lisa's tanks are going to be way on the opposite side of the basement from her. So it won't be as challenging. My situation will probably be a little bit more like Corey's. Although his is on an angle, mine is going to be straight like this, but it's just going to be a lot farther back. And I'm going to actually put lights on the ceiling. So it shouldn't be as big of a challenge down there. But yeah, we're always battling that when we're talking about making fish videos.
Well, and my next question has to do with the trigger word, but I'm going to ask it anyways.
Go right ahead.
And this is to do with the room echo, not with equipment echo. But you've got some pieces of soundboard up in there, don't you?
I do.
Try and help with that, and then because I mean, it seems like the glass water boxes cause so many issues. They can cause signal issues, the lighting issues, the echo because you've got the additional surfaces for it to bounce off of.
Well, not to mention noise too.
Oh yeah,
aquariums are noisy.
oh yeah, which I'm hoping mine aren't coming through. Normally they don't, but I didn't top them off. Typically my routine is right before a live stream, I top everything off 100%, and I was just not feeling up to it immediately beforehand. But that when I did my first voiceover, that was the worst thing in the world, was all the background. I literally killed every single system in the room and then did the voiceover, because when I did it, I was like, oh my goodness, all I can hear is the bubbles and the water and the pumps and the motors. And so there are a lot of things that I never really thought about beforehand that go into it. But having a decent mic, at least for the live stream aspect, seems to help with the filters and water circulation and things like that, because I don't ever hear yours. What type of mic do you have in terms
these are the Shure SM7Bs. That's what we're using for the stream. They're very expensive, but I was so frustrated, as you probably know, that it was worth it for me just to have that peace of mind. These microphones literally only pick up like what's right here.
That's what I was gonna say. They're oh goodness, I can't think of
condenser microphone.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, because you've got the cardioid and the condenser and
Right.
all those other types of mics that pick up from different directions depending upon what you're trying to do.
Yeah, these Rogan uses these. Everybody that has big podcasts use these. I'm not a Joe Rogan fanatic. I love Joe Rogan, but it's not like I bought these because he uses them. It's just you look around and everybody that has video podcasts is using these. So I'm like, well, there's got to be a reason for that. So that's why I got it against Corey's wishes. He told me to get something else, but
interesting.
Yeah, but and he owns like 6 of these. So
oh wow. So using that as a segue point, I know that you did talk about hiring Corey in terms of your YouTube channel and trying to grow and expand and do some things. For lack of a better way to put it, how is that going so far?
It's exhausting, but it's the best thing I've ever done, and I mean that. I had somebody message me the other day saying, this is a huge wake up call for me, because I'm thinking you just passed 150,000, like you should be fine. What are you hiring somebody as a consultant for? Why would you do that? If you're doing that, it makes me wonder if I should. And the channel was, considerably smaller than mine. I don't think any of us are beyond getting help. You know what I mean? It's having that extra set of eyes look at things is just it's an unbelievable thing. And then when the person whose eyes those are is a genius when it comes to YouTube, it just totally makes sense. So it's going amazing. I mean, it really is. I've noticed it's not like all of a sudden my channel is doubled in size. It's not going to happen like that, but I see things and I've been instructed on things that make me go, oh, like how did I not know that before? I consider myself pretty knowledgeable in this stuff. How did I not see that? Little things.
Right.
So it's been incredible. Absolutely worth every single penny.
Let me see. I've got a couple things that have my name highlighted. I just want to see. I know I've got one question specifically for you. Let's see. Fish Keeper Cole at Fish Room Fever. What would drone footage add to a fish tuber video? Well, that is a good question. I don't know that you could necessarily add a lot to a fish tuber video in terms of the standard indoors. These are my fish. This is what I'm talking about. But for things like I enjoy, in place of fishing anymore, to go out and go native fish collecting. I think you could get some pretty cool footage if you're out catching fish out of the stream and, you know, you're all out there, that type of stuff. I've seen some really cool drone footage of people that have gone, you know, down to South America to do collecting there. But it's not something that you could really use on an everyday basis. I don't think. I mean, you could, I guess. I mean, I'm one of those really weird people that I would figure out a way to incorporate it, even if it was just goofy as all get out to be doing it. You know, using it for that top of the room corner camera angle that I can't quite get with another camera or something, or having it fly around and, you know, kind of like I've got a cameraman, so to speak. You know, it's weird stuff. I'd come up with something, but I don't think it's a critical piece of equipment.
And I'm not going to do that either. I'm not going to fly it in the house because, I mean, especially out here, because there's garage door stuff and all that.
Right.
But you summed it up exactly the way I would. It's not something that, like, I think a lot of fish channels are going to go to. Like, everybody's going to have drones now. It's nothing like that. For me, I got it for two reasons. One is because I can kind of extend that creativity. I can add a little bit of something. And I also did it for nothing to do with YouTube, just to go out and have fun. I flew it a couple of weeks ago over top of Belle Grove Plantation, which is a gorgeous plantation here in King George. It's actually in Port Royal, Virginia, which is 10 miles from here. And it's the birthplace of James Madison.
Oh, nice.
It's a beautiful old privately owned plantation that was actually on that show, one of those ghost shows, Ghost Hunters, where they go and spend the night in one of those. I just heard water from somewhere.
Well, that's never a good thing.
No, it's not.
If you need to check things, I can take over the chat and go through some stuff.
Okay, I'm gonna assume everything's okay, but I'm never gonna show that footage on any of my YouTube videos.
Right.
But there's a little clip from that day that I'm actually using tomorrow, where I'm in the video. I'm talking about how most rivers, the water is really nasty. Well, I got really good shots of the river, so there you go. But as far as it applies to a fish channel, the way I look at it is little things that will take far too long to actually accomplish, but they will add just the slightest amount of extra flavor to a video. An example would be, we went back in August. Lisa and I went with Rack and Scott and Liz. We went fish store hopping. If I had my drone then, I would have taken it off in the parking lots of all of the fish stores.
Right.
And I've gotten footage of those fish stores. I would have gotten footage of us walking into the fish stores. Little things like that help me feel more creative. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? Adding a little bit of something. So that's how it's going to apply to fish videos for me.
Well, and that's awesome. And that brings, I've got like this one shot in my head that I will get eventually. And it's basically like I head out and I'm like headed to the fish store or wherever in the thing. And I don't have a drone to do it. So basically I'm like, well, I could throw one of my spare phones up in the air that's recording until I get it right. But basically it spins up in circles away from me. And as it comes back down, it's spinning and it hits the top of the aquarium water and goes down into an underwater shot. And if I had a drone, I could do the spinning up with that and make it work off of a gimbal or another, you know, in the tank. So that's again one of those little things that I'm like, I could find like a 3-second clip, little things like that.
And that's the kind of stuff you do for you,
right?
It's not even something that the viewers would really grasp. You know what I mean? And they wouldn't even realize that you spent 3 hours getting that 3-second clip just perfect. But for me too, the other thing is I did a couple of videos kind of out in the wild, just on a whim, just for whatever reason. I did one video where I was walking through a trail here in King George, and I was just vlogging basically. And so little things like that, I'd be able to have I'd get some drone footage of that. You know what I mean? This little thing like that. It would just be to kind of add flavor is all. Most people probably wouldn't even notice though.
We've got a question for you in the chat. Recon's Aquarium says, at Fish Room Fever, have a question for John. What keeps him motivated to produce content when content has not gotten the desired results? And do you change anything?
Well, I mean, any YouTuber that tells you they don't change to suit viewers is lying to you, because every single one of them does. You have to. Now, does that mean go against your morals? And, you know, no, it doesn't mean that. But I mean, suiting content to fit what your viewers are looking for, everybody does that.
Oh, yeah.
What motivates me when I'm down? Ideas. And sometimes they're really hard to come by. I mean, I go through slumps. I'll tell Lisa, I'll get up some mornings and I'll be like, I'm going to go ahead and apologize in advance for whatever comes out of my mouth today, because I'm stuck. I'm in a slump. I don't know what's wrong. And I can't come up with that thing that I want to do. And fortunately for me, I've been able to somehow pop some idea into my head where it's like, okay, I can do this. And that's what gets me through it. The excitement of new ideas. But it's tough. I mean, you know, you go through those slumps where you aren't motivated. It's like, what am I going to do now? I've done 12 videos on the cycle. I've done 12 videos about Oscars. What am I going to do now? And it's, you know, it's hard. I can't even tell you what is the trick to get that spark. You know what I mean? Because I haven't figured that out. But when it happens, it's a beautiful thing. And you write it down so that you don't forget it. That's what I've learned. You get an idea in your head, write it down, put it in a note in your phone, text it to yourself, whatever you have to do so that you can hold on to that.
Absolutely. And you're so much farther down the path, I'll put it that way, than I am, because like you said, you've done, you know, the nitrogen cycle 12 times. You've put out hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos. So whereas I'm still in and I know that things have been done, but I haven't done them. So I'm like, well, yeah, I'm going to do a cycling a tank video because I haven't done one yet. So I've got a million things that I'm trying to do that I just am like, okay, let me just pause it, slow down. And then eventually you get to that point, like you said, where you've done everything so many times, which is why I love the tool series so much, because it's a totally just, and I could tell it was going to be something awesome back when you were talking about it and it was still a secret. And you're like, hey, got this thing coming and I'm really excited. So I'm loving that.
It's so much fun. It is so much fun. And the interesting thing about that, again, going back to that question that was asked, that series brought on other ideas. You know, it's that when that idea came to our head, I can't take full credit for that one because I came up with kind of a concept, and then Lisa and I together came up with the whole Steve and Karen thing. But because of that, it allowed me to have ideas for other things that don't have anything to do with Steve and Karen, but just other videos and other things that I can do. So when you get those ideas, that's what kind of gets the whole train rolling. And it's a beautiful thing. That series is, I love it. It's my favorite thing I've ever done on YouTube for sure.
No, can I ask you? Well, I'm going to ask you anyways, and if you don't want to answer, you don't have to. But bear in mind that I'm the guy when watching the movie goes, that knows that Coca-Cola label was intentionally turned that way. I've noticed your product placement. Has that been intentional? I'm sure it has.
I don't have any in here. Absolutely, it is.
I kind of figured it was, but I wanted to ask about it because I'm like, oh, there's the extreme in the video. Yeah.
It's absolutely done on purpose, and it surprises me, even though you just did, that nobody said anything about it, because you're usually going to have those people, oh, nice job, you know, I see what you did there. More of that coming tomorrow, by the way. But yeah, it's absolutely done that way. Extreme supports us. We're going to support them.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. And I'm not crapping on you doing that. I just, I noticed it, and I was like, I bet that was intentional product placement. I want to ask him about it.
It is intentional, but at the same time, we have fish tanks all over our house, and Extreme sent us a lot of food, and so there's Extreme all over our house.
Yeah.
So it's not like a real stretch that it would be sitting there anyway.
Right. No, I understand. I just it piqued my curiosity when I saw it, because I'm one of those weird people that analyzes what I'm watching versus watching it half the time. So I'm like, okay, that's deliberate. That's done for marketing. That's for this. And so a lot of things that people just goes into their subconscious, I'm aware of, I guess.
That's kind of what we're hoping. I mean, the reality is in mainstream entertainment, there's product placement everywhere. You
Oh
just
yeah.
know it. I mean, Audi gave how many millions of dollars to Marvel so that Tony Stark would drive around in an Audi? I mean,
Yep.
it's everywhere. And what was it? Is it Mercedes with John Wick? I forget who the series,
Oh,
John Wick series, but every automobile is a Mercedes in that, except for his Challenger or whatever he had. But yeah, there's product placement everywhere. You just hiding it and not being absolutely like over the top with it is what's important to me.
right. So we've got a question in the chat directed to me, but I'm going to pass it off to you because I film on my phone. I'll let you answer, and then I'll ask you about a specific camera I have in mind. Rose Aquatics asked, at Fish Room Fever, I probably sounds... No, wait, that's the other one. Where did it go? Let me do that one first. Sounds stupid for asking, but it's the GoPro Waterproof. I think you need the case on it. They may have them now that don't need the case, but the last time I looked at a GoPro was years ago, and it went into a little waterproof case on those. So
I'm not a GoPro guy. I've never had one, never used one, but I do know that they have them that are waterproof because I've seen them.
Yeah.
I had people bring them into my shop, and they would stick them in the tanks and do videos that way. So yeah, they're out there. I don't know if every single one of them is sealed up, but I know that they're out there that can go underwater.
Read your owner's manual first. Disclaimer.
Yeah.
And see, I use my phone, which I cracked my phone the other day when I was sick, and I don't even know how that happened. I came out of my 2-day coma and was like, oh, my phone's got a 4-inch split in it. Okay.
Oh boy.
So I won't be doing any underwater footage until I get that replaced. But a lot of the newer cell phones, if you're using a cell phone, are waterproof as well. Again, check the user manual and ratings before you stick your phone in a tank. There it is, Sand Creek Aquatics at Fish Room Fever. What's a good starter camera that won't break the bank besides phone? So I'm going to pass that to you since I don't actually own a camera.
Well, if you talk to Bob Steenfott, his answer would be different. But there's the big debate right now with cameras in wireless or mirrorless versus DSLRs. And I've done quite a bit of studying on this, and I debate Bob every once in a while about it because he's a mirrorless guy. I'm a DSLR guy. DSLRs are basically like traditional cameras in that you have a shutter that opens and
Gotcha.
And your optical viewfinder, which I never use ever on my camera, is actually given to you by way of a mirror, where on a mirrorless camera, there is no big shutter like that, basically, or there's no mirror. Basically, when you push record or when you push snap, it exposes the sensor right there. And at least that's the way it's been explained to me. And the image that you see through the viewfinder is actually a digital image that you see when you put your eye up to it.
Okay.
Now, I'm not a guy that has been convinced to go over to the mirrorless side. I keep going back and forth, but my recommendation would be Okay, no, I'm going to go away from what I was just about to say. My recommendation for the move up from a phone, I'm a Canon guy. It's going to be the Canon M50, which is basically the mirrorless version or the mirrorless equivalent of the Canon SL2, which the SL2 is what I have. And that's what was kind of like, that's what everybody had for the longest time. It's a DSLR. My camera, don't look at it right here because I'm not on it. But if you look at my videos, particularly tomorrow's 10 Things video, you'll see it's crystal clear. You're not like, you're not really going to be looking for anything better than that. I'm not trying to say my videos are better than anybody's, but from a quality standpoint, particularly talking head footage,
Right.
it's immaculate. I mean, it looks fantastic. Um, the M50 is basically the mirrorless version of that. It's in the neighborhood of like $550. So it's not going to, you're not going to end up going homeless because of it. But it's going to get you a really, really good camera that's definitely a step up um, from the phone,
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that one because that was actually the model that I wanted to ask you about tonight because
The M50 or the
yes,
SL2?
the M50, because when I do take my step up, that's what I'm looking at getting. I've heard a lot of good things, and I've probably listened to 70 or 80 hours worth of product reviews and people talking about it. And Steve Cannell's a big one that talks about the M50 a lot. But I think that's where I'm going to go when the time comes. That might be one of the things that I attach to a goal. I like to attach things to a goal. My goal was to get a gimbal, which I still haven't gotten, but to get a gimbal set up for my phone if I could hit 500 subscribers by the end of last year. I'm looking at getting one. I'm thinking that I'm just going to go ahead and wait until tax time / fish time, as most of the hobby says, and just get one of the nice like $250 ones versus one of the cheaper Amazon knockoff ones, and just save myself the heartache of it breaking after a week. So I'm thinking. Go ahead.
I have a gimbal for my cell phone, and I never use it. And mainly because I don't do a lot of footage with my phone because I have my other camera. But
Right.
if I film with my phone, it's usually because I'm somewhere and I see something that needs to be filmed, and I obviously don't have my camera with me. I mean, I have an iPhone 8 Plus, which has got a great camera on it, but I mean, if I'm going to shoot a video, I'm going to do it with my
Right.
Canon.
Oh yeah,
So,
absolutely.
But yeah, the M50 is a good choice for sure. And as far as gimbals go, I have one, but I never use it. I'll sell you mine for real cheap if you want.
Hey, there we go. I'll take you up on that at a later point in time.
I've used it twice.
Since we are on to let me go ahead and ask this question here. Fish Tropic says, KGTropicals, wouldn't you say you get inspired by watching videos from other channels that make you think about what you're doing yourself?
Absolutely. My inspiration, all due respect to every fish tube creator out there, I love them all. My inspiration comes more from non-fish channels. I watch a lot of channels that are dedicated towards like filmmaking, like the real deal kind of channels, where these guys are filming in ridiculous situations with ridiculous gear, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of stuff. That's kind of what inspires me to see that beauty. You know what I mean? It inspires me to want to be better. So yeah, there's that. But then watching FishTube, I mean, I watch a lot of it. I watch FishTube stuff all day long, and but it doesn't inspire me to get better. It inspires me to do more, if that makes sense. Like, I got to keep going because look how much fun everyone's having. I don't want to bail again. This is so fun. I want to be a part of this. So seeing what everybody's doing is definitely something that keeps me going for sure. But I find my inspiration from channels that have never even seen a fish tank.
So let me ask you this, and this may be something you don't want to answer, and that's fine. But you're 150 some odd thousand subscribers. You're a little too far down the road to change what you're doing at this point. And not that you couldn't walk away from it or that you're forced to do it, but it's a rebrand wouldn't work at what you're at. If you say had to do it over again, would you possibly go into something besides the fish tube aspect, given that as much as you're into the cinematic side and the tech side, because I mean those things are all quote unquote hot, and have been for a while on YouTube. They've got a much larger base, a lot more if you were just specifically looking at like growth, they've got more opportunity for growth. They're not nearly as niched down as we are. Is it something that you would think about? I know you're not going anywhere, but
no, I'm not going anywhere. I mean, the only other thing I like to teach.
okay.
And I know that sounds weird. You know, how come I'm not a teacher for a living then? But I like to share my knowledge, and I like to help other people. So I don't know that reviewing products really does that. And the tech channels, I love a lot of tech channels. I mean, I could give you a list of probably 20 that I'm subscribed to. You're absolutely right. The tech niche is definitely hot, and I don't think it's ever not going to be hot. But I don't think they really teach anybody anything. You know, they're not teaching you how the cell phone works. They're just telling you what they like about it.
Yeah.
For me, I like to teach. So if I wasn't doing fish videos, I'd be doing woodworking videos. I mean, that would be my thing. If I had a tragedy, I don't know if I've ever talked about it on my channel. Maybe I have, but
The act of the missing tools.
yeah, I might have even talked about it on your stream.
I
had
you did on yours.
$45,000 worth of woodworking equipment stolen from me.
That breaks my heart.
Had that not happened, I guarantee you I would have a woodworking channel right now. It would have happened naturally for me. Because just like with the fish keeping channel, it gives me the opportunity to teach while showing my love for something. So I'm not saying I wouldn't have a fish channel. I'm saying I'd probably have both. But I mean, I had the equipment that I could hang with any of the woodworking YouTubers out there, you know, with what I had already. So there's no doubt I would have done that. That would have been a guarantee. But that's a really, really small niche on the platform too. So
there was a question. I don't remember. Oh, there we go. There it is. Mike at the Fish Tank Barn asks, what lenses do you have for the SL2?
Strictly the kit lens. That's all I've got. I have not invested in another lens yet, but I actually commented to Lisa today when we were getting some B-roll footage for tomorrow's video. I said to her, you know, if I had a better camera, a better lens, probably could have got that shot a little better. But yeah, I have not invested in another lens. I would love to go with a macro lens to get that super clean B-roll footage of the fish, but it's not something I've done yet. And if I'm going to buy a lens, I'm not going to buy a lens for the SL2. I mean, I know most of them are interchangeable, but I would wait until I get whatever camera I go to next, and then I would get the lenses for that one.
Gotcha. I was going to pick on you a little bit because I saw, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you, oh goodness, I've lost his name now, and I've mentioned him 2 or 3 times in here. That's just me being sick. I can't think of him. Peter McKinnon. You're a Peter McKinnon fan, if I'm not mistaken.
How could you not be? Yeah.
He was talking about like this giant fancy, I want to call it a brick. It's not a brick, but it's just massive, like MX3. It was this ridiculously overpriced camera. I was going to give you a hard time and ask if you'd picked that one up yet because Peter McKinnon did a review on it.
Yeah, it's like the 1DX Mark III or something like that.
Yeah.
I watched that video. Yeah. No, I'm not going to be getting that camera. That's like a $4,000 camera just for the body. No.
Yeah.
If I was making videos that are like cinema quality videos like Peter McKinnon does, then sure. But he makes his living based on how the quality of his videos are. That's not how we make it. You know what I mean? Right. We make it by what the message is in our videos. All of FishTube is that way. Do I want to have really good quality? Yeah, but I think that's a bit of a stretch. I'm not.
That was something I was going to ask. If you're not a Peter McKinnon or like a Jimmy, a Swisky, I don't see a whole lot of gain or added value. Now, if you've got the money to go do it and you want to, by all means, go for it. But I don't see a lot of added value in having a $3,000 setup versus a $1,000 setup or a $600 setup, because most of us aren't going to be able to utilize it to the extent that makes it worth it.
No, it's very true. I mean, Peter McKinnon was a professional photographer before he was a YouTuber. You know, I mean, he made his living. Jared Polin is a professional photographer. So of course these guys are going to want the elite of the elite. Just like if I had a woodworking channel, I would want the best out of the best because I'm a professional woodworker for a living. I mean, you know, but you're absolutely right. It's not necessary. And um, how many people out there would make fun of Canon 80D users? Yet one of the biggest channels on the platform still films on his 80D every day, Casey Neistat. So,
Yeah.
I mean, he's probably got the 90D by now, but it's
He's like Bob with the flip phone, just holding it down.
yeah. I mean, nobody's going to make fun of Casey.
Yeah.
he's got some of the best footage out there, and it's all from a 4-year-old DSLR. So, you want your content to look good,
Right.
but it doesn't need to look Peter McKinnon good, you know, Matty Hapoya good. It doesn't have to be that good. But like you said, if you can afford it,
yeah,
if you got it like that, hey, what's it going to hurt?
And if you can afford 2 extra ones and you want to send them our way for review, we'd be happy to do that as well.
I'll send it back. I promise. I will accept it. No problem.
So I'm going to give this question a shot. I'm almost scared to, but Fish Tropics is Fish Room Fever. If you could change channels with John, thanks for the paycheck. Now, what would you change and what would you keep the same? Same question for John.
Ooh.
I wouldn't want to change channels with John. And I say that not because I don't like your channel. I'd love to be in your situation. But if we were to just swap channels, so to speak, and there are so many ways I could even take this question. I'm taking it in the sense that yours is mine and mine is yours at this moment. I wouldn't have the journey behind it. I wouldn't have the knowledge behind it. But to give you an answer, I'll give you an answer. If I did swap with him, the thing I would change would be the name. I'd put my name on it. That way I could have those subscribers. But I would miss that journey, I think, because I'm still learning and I'm still, not that you're not enjoying the process or that you're not learning, but I'm still very much new in all of this. And I've still got that, that honeymoon phase that I'm going through with YouTube. And I'd hate to just bypass that and then be at the point where I'm like, okay, I've got 150,000 subscribers. I'm not 150,000 subscriber video quality creator at this point. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people, and I say this having gone to 1,000 subscribers relatively quickly. A lot of people don't take the time to get used to YouTube while they're still small and nobody's looking at their channel. I didn't. And that's part of why my videos are going to be learning on the fly, so to speak. But I thrive on the live stream aspect. That's something that people really enjoy. They come to me for that more than they do my videos. So I've been able to do okay in that aspect. So I would, if we swapped, I'd change the name because I'd put my name on it. But other than that, I want to enjoy my journey. I'm very much, I want to get to the top in everything I do, but I want to be able to take credit for being the one that got me there. So.
Yeah. See, the nice thing about being the second one to answer the question is I've had time to process it now.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to give the politically correct answer. Okay. It's not what you think. The answer, if I was to switch channels with James right now, what would I change? The answer is everything. Because that's not because everything needs to be changed because what you're doing is garbage. No, there's a reason why this channel is called YouTube. It's about what you do. What I do is nothing even close to what James does. He does things his way. I do things my way. So in order for it to be my channel, I would have to make it what I do. And that would be completely different from what he's doing. So the answer, the politically correct answer would be that I would change everything because I do things differently and that doesn't make me better or anything like that. It's just we're all individuals and we all do things our own way.
Absolutely.
To get us to start saying, oh, his thumbnails are terrible and his titles are horrible, you're not going to get us to do that. We
Oh,
don't fall for that stuff.
believe me, I already know I need to work on basically the whole YouTube aspect of my YouTube, if you will. Everything but streaming to me needs work. And even then, I can still improve on streaming. But uh,
The day that stops is the day that it all starts going downhill. I'm at 150,000, and it's still I have to work on everything I do too. So that's never going to change. I mean, you're always having to improve.
oh yeah, well, and even if you weren't for yourself or your viewers, they're constantly changing the algorithms and what they're looking at and what they want. So it's a constant learning process, and just once you get it figured out, a lot of times they swap things around on you. I've noticed just from going back, and again, I've only had this channel for 4.5 months, but looking at older videos of what the suggestions were for creators 4 years ago and 3 years ago, it's not the same all the time. It's like, well, this is what they're looking at now. Okay, now they've shifted to the keywords, now they've shifted over to this. I still think the most important thing, and you can correct me if you feel different on this, or we can disagree, I should say. You're not going to correct me because it's my opinion, but I think the most important thing right now, and probably at any point, is going to be thumbnails, because if you can't get the people to click on it, it doesn't matter what the video is, the quality, the content, the information. So
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I think titles are up there too.
oh yeah, absolutely. That's the second. Absolutely.
Titles is where you're going to get your searchable, stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, people are window shopping all day long, and your thumbnail is going to need to attract them as opposed to the thumbnail that pops up next. So, I could totally agree, and that's why I say everyone needs to work on their thumbnail game. I mean, because if you start to fall behind, you're gonna start getting skipped over. So thumbnails are something I think it's should be an absolute 100% priority for everybody. And I've not even gotten close to where I'd like my thumbnails to be, but
Oh yeah, I'm not even in the realm of started at this point. I've done some things that are thumbnails, if you will, just so it's not still shots from video, but they're not what I want to do. Like again, it's one of those things I need to learn how to create it and to get the time to do it. For today's case in point, one of my ideas, part of that thumbnail was you with a big old smile on your face doing this, and there's a drone and at the top of it.
I could have sent you real footage of that. The best thumbnails I've ever had, and I think the best thumbnails anybody could have, are thumbnails that you think of what the thumbnail would be as soon as you come up with the idea for the video.
Yeah.
And that's something that I try now, and I was trying to do this before I met up with Corey, or made the arrangements with Corey. It's always been that way. It's like, okay, I'm going to do a video about this. Here's the shot that I'd like to use for the thumbnail. And I still a lot of times end up using a frame from the actual video. I still do that unless it's like an action shot. Sometimes it might be staged, you know what I mean? But if it's of a fish or something like that, I'm better at taking video footage of the fish and then screenshotting that than I am actually taking a photo of the fish. Like, I'm not good at taking photos. So I'll just sit there and video. If I want to get a really, really nice shot of a discus for my thumbnail, and I only say that because I'm sitting here looking at them, I would just video that fish for a good 3 or 4 minutes, and then I would just find that perfect shot out of there. But anyway, what I was getting at was be thinking of the thumbnail all along. So many YouTubers, and I've been guilty of this, I don't even know how many times, probably 3/4 of my videos. So many YouTubers will spend all this time on their video, spend all this time editing and doing all of that, and then they're uploading, and that's when they start working on their thumbnail. It's like, okay, the video is uploading now to YouTube, and it says progress is 45%. Now I better go make my thumbnail. It's the biggest and probably most common mistake made by
I'm so guilty of that.
I still am too. It's hard. I mean, it's really, really difficult. But again, the best thumbnails that I've had have been thumbnails that I actually put forth a real effort to actually do a real thumbnail. Give you a great example. Well, first of all, the tool thumbnails, those are all staged. They're all pre-planned. They're written in the script. Is the thumbnail is going to be Karen pointing and Steve has got his hands like that. I mean, I actually document all that.
Yeah.
But my 2 recent videos that I did reviewing the canister filters, where I actually, I mean, you didn't even know what I had a table out here. I had blocks set up with the filter on it. The filter sitting at a particular angle. I had to wait till the fish was swimming by. And I mean, I spent probably 45 minutes making those 2 stupid thumbnails and then making them glow and all of that kind of stuff. It's like a whole big thing. But those are the ones that seem to turn out to be the best, are the ones that are really pre-planned and you actually put an effort into them rather than being an afterthought once the video is already done.
And I'm not asking you to divulge your numbers here, but let me ask you, are you finding a better click-through rate on those?
Absolutely. Yeah. The tool ones. Yeah. The tool thumbnails, the click-through rate is more than double what my channel average is.
Very nice.
And somebody that I'm very close to, whose name rhymes with Mob Beanstot, said that he hated the thumbnails. He hates the color blue in the thumbnails because he hates blue.
He does. I've noticed that.
Blue is. But yeah, he didn't say he hated the thumbnails, but he said he hated the blue. But anyway, that was something that Corey pointed out very early on in his analysis of my channel. Is like, wow, the click-through rate on those videos is doing really well. So
that's awesome. Yeah, because I love to dig into all that stuff on my channel. I need to spend more time filming and editing than looking at numbers, but I enjoy it. I really enjoy going through and looking at numbers and looking at the CTRs and where people are dropping off in the videos and what I did at that point in the video that may be causing people to click off of it and all that type of stuff. But
it's a lot. There's the analytics on YouTube goes so much deeper than people think. It's crazy.
I've done a couple of streams where I'll pull mine up and I'll screen share and we'll go through and look at stuff and it kind of explaining to people how it works, because there's so much in there. If you don't know and you don't have anybody to talk to about it, it can be really overwhelming to just open it up and start digging at things. And then you have
why it pays to bring in another set of eyes.
It does, absolutely. And I will definitely say, especially for somebody, you know, at your channel size, definitely. I recommend research at the newer, we'll say newer channel level. If you don't know about it, throw on some YouTube videos and, you know, get you some research. I've listened to, I could safely say at least 100 hours of just other people talking about, you know, here's how the analytics work. Here's what you're looking at. Here's how to get to that. Here's how to read it. And now I've digressed way off of tech, so to speak, into the YouTube aspect. But I don't know. I find that stuff fun and fascinating.
Yeah, whenever you want to talk gear, you let me know.
So let me ask you, we were talking about cameras. When you've probably got a couple different options here, but when you're filming, let's just say you're doing indoor shots, you know, stuff around the house, what type of mic setup are you using for that?
I mean, if it's I can't believe this. You asked me to come on to talk about gear, and I didn't even, I should have all of my stuff right here.
How dare you? I
know. How dare me? I get it. I've got this little guy sitting here. That's about all I've got, but that's because it was there already. If I'm doing a walk around shot where I'm holding the camera and I'm walking around, vlog style, if that's what you want to call it, I have my SL2 with a camera mounted Rode. It's the Rode Video Mic Pro Plus, the longest name in microphone history. It's the newest camera mounted vlogging style microphone that Rode makes. It's not a cheap one, but it is the most amazing microphone I've ever used. And it's so amazing. In fact, it's probably not as good as these, but these aren't going to mount on a camera, but
Right.
it's so good that if I'm doing a lockdown shot, that's what Casey would call it, where the camera's on a tripod and I'm standing there talking to the camera, I'll actually put that same microphone on a boom pole and, put it right here. Yeah. Look at this. This is why it pays to have a partner in YouTube. She done brought my
Thank you, Lisa.
Say hi.
Hi, Lisa. How are you?
Good, thank you.
I heard some weird water noise happen over. That water splashed on the floor right there is definitely from him, but that's not the concern that I was talking about. So anyway, this is the microphone here, mounted in the cold shoe on top of the microphone, on top of the camera, I mean. And then this is the camera we've been talking about all day.
All right.
But it's a $320 microphone, I think. Shotgun mic. And I will take this, like I said, if I'm doing a tripod shot where I'm standing there,
Right.
but I'm standing, 6-7 feet away from the camera, this would pick me up, but it's not going to be as good. You're going to have the room echo. You're going to have all that. So I'll actually put the microphone on a boom pole and I'll put it right here.
There. Yep.
Just out of shot. I do that all the time. That's what we do for 10 Things videos. I use this microphone. Whoa, I didn't mean to leave it on the screen there. I use this microphone on a boom pole, and that's how I do it. We've also done lapel mics, which I've always gotten a weird sound out of lavalier microphones, lapel mics, whatever you want to call them. It always seems muffled to me. And maybe it's because it's down here, I don't know. But I use those. This microphone, actually, I just got it back. I had to send it to Rode to get fixed. It took a dump on me back about a month ago. And so I was temporarily using the lavalier microphone, and I hated it. It's terrible. You got a wire and tripping over it, and it doesn't sound good. So the answer to your question is this all day long, unless I'm doing something on the stream, then I'm using this one.
Absolutely. So have you tried the, I guess we'll call it the entry level, the Rode Micro Mini?
I just showed you.
Is that okay? I was going to ask.
This is the Rode Video Micro without the big stupid. I'm not out in the wind. I don't need a wind guard on there. Dead cat, what they would call it.
Yeah.
This is great. It's light years below the Mic Pro Plus, but for a $60 microphone, this thing is fantastic. It is 150 times better than what you'll find from your phone. And if you have a phone that's 2 years old or newer, or maybe even 3 years old or newer, and you're like, okay, I want to spend a little bit of money, but I don't know what to spend it on, that would be this, because you can buy an adapter, hook this up to your phone, use this as your phone's microphone, completely changes the game for your content. Because the phone microphones are terrible. They're all terrible.
Oh, yeah. Well, and if you're an Android user, you don't even need the dongle adapter.
Right. That's right.
I had to throw that jab out there.
I'm assuming everybody's smart like me and uses iPhones.
I know, right? So I want to say real quick, thank you to everybody for the congratulations. And Chris, Multi-Tank Addiction is in there. You passed me. Apparently, I got 1030 for the subscriber count. Chris, you just hang in there with me, buddy. I want you to come back and pass me again. We're going to play a little game back and forth. But Mr. Fish Sir has a question. Says, please ask John if the clickbaiting thing really works. Not implying that he does, but I dislike the clickbait.
How dare you? Who asked that?
That was Mr. Fish Sir. That was Bob Steenfott. Yeah, that was Bob.
How dare you, Mr. Fish Sir? Yes, clickbait absolutely does work. I have done it trolling.
Right.
And what I mean is there's one time I have been guilty of clickbait, and boy, did it work. And that was my Petco video. And basically what I did intentionally clickbaiting was the thumbnail. I took it in my van,
Right.
was me holding the bag of fish, and I took a picture through the bag of, will you give me a break here? The cat's rubbing up against my camera now. I got $900 sitting here and you're rubbing on it. And then I put the word outrageous across the thumbnail with Petco in the background. And I said in the title, you won't believe what Petco did.
Yeah, I remember that one because I'll admit you got me on that one.
And
sure enough, I jumped to click on it and I was like, yep, I should have known.
I did that because there was a lot of negativity coming out about Petco's and PetSmarts and all the big box stores, and everybody has their opinions on them, and that's fine. But my experiences, for the most part, with those stores have been good. You know, not great, but good. And I just kind of got tired of seeing the negativity, so I thought I would have fun with it and kind of flip it around a little bit and do a video praising, because this person at that particular Petco that I went to deserved praise. She was awesome. And so I clickbaited it. Instead of, if I put on that thumbnail, Petco is great, nobody would have watched the video.
Oh, no, no.
If I put on there, I bought new fish, nobody would have watched it. So doing what I did, it definitely drew more people. And for a long time, and I think it still might be, but I'm not certain, that video did the best in its first 24 hours than any other video on my channel ever did. And that video took me 10 minutes to make. But clickbait, does it work? Yes. Should you do it? Absolutely not. Because the problem with it is you only get to fool somebody one time on YouTube before they bail on you. They're just out. Right. And so if you put, you know, a hot chick in a bikini with big boobs on the thumbnail, and then the person clicks on it and it's your fat self, not you, James, because you're not fat, but some big fat 250-pound guy, hey guys, I went and bought new fish. People are going to be like, what is this? You know, and they're never going to give you another chance, because they're going to be like, you know what? I'm not an idiot. You fooled me already. You're not going to fool me again. I haven't seen that outrageous, but
your advice is for me to hire a well-endowed young lady in a bikini to do all my fish unboxings. And
I mean, you know what? It definitely works. You know, you want to get a lot of subscribers, that would definitely. But yeah, the thing is, I think the word, is it one word or two words? I don't know. I think clickbait is thrown around too much.
I agree. And I don't even necessarily consider what you did clickbait when I think of my definition of clickbait. My definition of clickbait, for me anyways, is things that are not possible, didn't happen. You're outright saying something's in a video that's not in a video. Things like, I've seen people that have clickbaited titles and they've said, I've got we'll use piranha, for example. I don't remember the fish, a saltwater piranha, you know, and it's like, I know that fish is not a saltwater fish. And then you watch the video and it's just dumb, outright lies to get you to click on it. And that's the stuff that really gets me. If it's something that can be misleading slightly, but it isn't giving you an outright definition, I don't necessarily feel, to me, that I've been clickbaited, so to speak. I'm not upset at that type of clickbaiting anyways.
There's a difference between creative manipulation.
I like that.
And outright, oh my God. Please, I've got a cat for adoption. Come on. See, I lost my train of thought. Deliberate or creative manipulation versus outright lies. I mean, you can manipulate a title and a thumbnail and all that. And I'll give you an example. I mean, how dare we talk about other YouTubers, but Joey did a great one a few months back. that some people in the comment section of his video accused him of clickbait. I don't think it was clickbait at all. I think it was a clever manipulation of the situation. And that was his video that he did where he said, I'm never going back to this fish store again.
Yes, I remember that.
Yep. Technically, he never is. So he really wasn't lying. Sure, when you look at that and you see him angry on the thumbnail, you look at it like, oh, he must have gotten in a fight or something horrible happened. So it's a clever manipulation. I don't necessarily look at that as clickbait. Clickbait to me, like you said, it's a deliberate falsity. You know, it's the morons that said, my shark almost bit off my hand. And the thumbnail says, graphic warning. And you click on the video and it's a shark about that big that took a little scratch on the guy's hand. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
That is clickbait to me. The hot chick in the bikini, and then you click on it and it's a big hairy dude. You know, it works, but it doesn't work for long. And then you know, your audience will turn on you.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. If you're going to clickbait, the number one rule of clickbaiting is if you're going to do it, you darn well better deliver on it.
There's a difference though between clickbait and a real hot button title or thumbnail. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but
I've got one for an example, and because I do YouTube-y stuff, we'll call it that, YouTube type stuff and fish stuff. One of the videos I'm looking at doing, I was going to title it YouTube Hates Me, and I was going to have, you know, like pouting, you know, like this in the thumbnail and all that. And really it's just going to be kind of an intro tutorial. And I almost feel like it's a rip off of your tool thing, because I a lot of the stuff I think of, I want to do it with actors, so to speak, or myself playing a part. So I've got my guy here and I've uploaded my video and I'm new to YouTube and my video is not getting views, and I'm just, because there's a lot of that, oh, YouTube's hiding my stuff, YouTube doesn't like me, and a lot of times it's, you know, what's being put out, how it's being released, and kind of touch on the basic things and do a tutorial. But I wanted to do like YouTube Hates Me type thing because I know that will get attention.
I would probably steer you away from that if you were to have asked my advice on that, and not because that it would be clickbait. It's more, there are people that I know personally who believe that YouTube does hate them.
I know.
And so they would probably see that and be like, screw that guy. How dare he, you know?
And yeah, but I learned years ago, you can't please everybody. So.
It's true. It's very true. But I know people that believe that Larry and Sergey hate them. And it's like, come on, you know, if you do things the way that helps your channel, you know, you won't feel that way. But they refuse to do that. They just want to keep doing things exactly the same and not change anything and just expect YouTube to take care of them. And that's just not going to work.
Absolutely.
Sorry, didn't mean to go off.
You're perfectly fine. So you've pretty much answered the question, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Do you use any type of mobile lighting setup? I notice on you've got your tripod, your mic, and your camera, and that's it. Is that your good to go vlogger style?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm out, I'm not bringing lights with me unless I'm. An example would be when I meet up with you next month in Gaithersburg. You are going, right?
I am going. Yes, okay. I will be there.
I'm going to bring my lights with me there because we're going to be setting up and we're going to be streaming and it's going to be sitting down and we're going to set up a whole thing. So I'm going to bring my lights there. But if I'm going to a fish store or if I'm going to, you know, an event, I'm not bringing lights just because it's just too much. And if I'm at a convention, which I don't do this, but if I was at a convention and I was going to interview somebody, nobody's really expecting the light to be perfect at something like that. So, you know, I wouldn't care to have lights in a situation like that. But, you know, if I was going to go to Seattle and I was going to sit down with Corey for a couple hours and I was going to interview him, oh, yeah, I'm going to set up lights. You know what I mean? And I don't mean to single out Corey. If I was to go to Seattle and sit down with Dean and I'm going to have a real intimate interview scenario with him, I would bring lights and I would set up for that. But if I'm out on the run walking around, no, I'm not going to do one of those silly ring lights or anything like that. No, I'm just use what nature gives you and use that.
I kind of figured that was the answer there, but I wanted to cover the bases. And I'm going to guess that the tripod that you've got there is one of those, was it a Gorilla Pod, the name brand that everybody uses essentially?
The name brand is Joby.
Okay, there we go.
Interesting story about these. I was given a gift card to Amazon. Whoops.
Oh, don't do that.
I hit the wrong button on the Joby Pod. Was given a gift card by my friend Rat Cross when I passed 100,000 subscribers. I was like,
very
what?
Wonderful guy.
And I ordered one of these, and then I ordered a new real tripod, floor standing tripod. And the reason why I ordered a new tripod was because my original one, I can't stand and record. It's too short. I'm 6 feet tall, and that tripod is only like 48 inches high or whatever. That's like the max that it can go. So I bought a 72-inch tripod, and I bought one of these. But Amazon sent me 4.
Oh my goodness.
So I've got this one that I use for my phone, which I don't have the adapter on it right now because I'm using it on my tripod downstairs. But I use this one for my phone. I have this one for the camera. I have one that's still in the box in my bookshelf. And then I gave the 4th one to Rack because,
Yeah.
Bought it.
Awesome. Oh, that's great.
But yeah, the Joby Pods. And I can tell you this, these Joby Pods are like, I want to say they're like $50. And they are light years better than the ones that you pay $20 for. Understand that all of these things, your tripods, all of your gear that you're using, that you're mounting cameras to and you're carrying around cameras with, the cheap stuff, there's a reason why it's super cheap.
Right, absolutely.
If that's all you can afford, then hey, have at it. Don't be ashamed of that. But if you go and you're like, well, I can buy this other one off of Amazon that's $14.99, you're going to feel that $14.99 real fast. I've had them and they are terrible. So there you go.
Yeah, I've definitely broken one or two of the cheap ones.
I mean, if that's all you can do, that's all you can do. There's no shame in that. But, there's a reason why they're that cheap.
Oh, yeah. Well, and the other thing is when you get to like that point, you've got a lot of money invested on the end of that little screw. And the last thing you want is a little plastic screw holding hundreds and hundreds, if not $1,000+.
Very true.
And then you do a quick turnaround and your camera goes one direction and so.
Yep. Very true.
That's almost like insurance at that point. Because I'm assuming those have, I would guess they have a metal screw if I'm not mistaken. I've never actually used one, but
yeah,
I'm assuming it's not plastic when you get into the legitimate ones.
So it has a little level on it. I don't know if you can see that.
I can. I do.
This plate slides off. It's just like what you would use for your tripod with a standard tripod screw there that you actually can tighten with a coin or something like that. And then this mounts to the bottom of your camera and it just slides right on it. So when you have your camera on it, you can take it off without removing that plate,
Very nice.
on the bottom of the camera. So you can take that off, walk around, do whatever you got to do, and then snap it right back on there, and it's done. So
yeah.
And I mean, even the cheap ones have that, but you're right. It's a plastic, nylon screw. Want to trust the money. And this isn't even an expensive rig that I have here. The camera is like $550. And then the microphone is almost the same price. The microphone's $320. But that, to me, that's a lot of money, But
yeah, absolutely.
Some of these guys have a Joby Pod and they've got, $5,000 worth of camera sitting on it. I mean, you definitely wouldn't want some cheapo holding that.
And now I've busted the threads on a couple of different plastic ones. And one time I had my phone attached to it and I was like, no, phone was fine at that point. It's not now, go figure. But at that point, it came out of it alive. But I could only imagine having an expensive camera on top and it popping off of there, the thread stripping.
I've had some close calls, but I've been fortunate with mine. I haven't dropped it.
And you're using, and I think we talked about this in the previous stream, but in terms of your streaming setup for your cameras, aren't you actually using a camera as one of them? Or I know you've talked about using a legitimate.
No, I could. My camera I can actually use as a webcam, but I don't because wouldn't be fair. One of us, either Lisa or I, would have a better camera than the other. I'm using these webcams. They're the C930 something from Logitech. Best Buy, they're like 124 bucks. And I mean, I did have one take a dump on me. I think it was the cat's fault, to be honest. But that's what I've been using basically ever since I came back from my break. Before I took my break, I had another Logitech webcam, which I still have. It's actually right over there. It's the little oval one, but it's like a 720p, it's like a $30 webcam. So this one is a little bit more high end. It's a 1080p, and that's my thing, 1080p. So
Yep, absolutely. I think Candy's going to bed, I believe, I guess. She said, bye, Fish from Fever. Bye, Candy. I appreciate you hanging out and doing your super mod thing. It means a lot to me. I hope you have a good night. I hope everything is well and that everybody's good at the house.
Always a pleasure, Miss Overhauls.
Oh, yes. And while we're... Okay. Well, I saw the buy at Fish Room Fever, so that's what made me think that. Apparently she's not leaving, so I'm not sure. But while we're stopped, let me just say thank you to everybody that has joined us tonight in the chat and my moderator team. I appreciate you all very much for what you do and keeping the sanity in the chat. If you do have any questions and you want to highlight them for me by putting the @ symbol and then Fish Room Fever, I will be happy to pick those up. We are trying to stay mostly techie, YouTube type related stuff, but who's to say we wouldn't answer a fish question if it tickled John's fancy? See, I know I had a couple things in here if I can get back to them real quick. Aquaball says, to me, YouTube is just entertainment like TV. I'm just going to enjoy it. I don't care about getting viewers, subscribers, or any money from YouTube. Yeah, well, I definitely don't have plans to get rich off of YouTube. And that's the thing. My goal for monetization was not because it was a goal for money. It was a goal for that first step, if you will, almost that I guess you could call it a stepping stone. That's kind of the first point along the road or path along the road is, okay, you get your 1,000 subscribers, you get your 4K hours, and then you move on to the next thing. So now I'm shooting for 5,000 subscribers. There's no monetization type anything that's attached with that. That's just the next goal, kind of like 1,000 was. So
I've had personal conversations with YouTubers before who on their streams and on their videos, no, I'm not going to say who.
Yeah.
They'll say, I'm just doing this for the love of the community and for the love of fish keeping, and I don't care about the money. The money means nothing to me.
Oh, I love money. I'll never say I don't care about it.
And then they message me privately and they're like, dude, how do I get more subscribers? How can I make more money? And everybody's going to automatically assume when I say that I'm talking about either Rack or Scott from King Queens. No, it's neither one of those people. Usually it's people that I don't know that they'll message me and they'll say things like that. And then I'll look at their channel and I'm like, well, stop lying to everybody first.
Right.
There's no shame. I see a lot. Okay, let me put it to you this way. And I'm not, whoever said that earlier, did you say it was Aquaballs that said that?
Don't know. I could probably.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who it is. I'm not calling that person out specifically, but when I see that, I'm like, whatever, because that's what everybody says in the beginning, and then you know who summed it up the best? It was Scott from King and Queens. I don't know if he's here tonight. he said publicly on his live stream, he said, I didn't used to care about the money. And then I got my first check from YouTube. And I was like, oh, and that's kind of nice. I'm doing this anyway, and I just got a little bit of money for it. So woohoo, let's go for more money. I don't think there's any shame in it anymore. It used to be something that was shunned if you were to ever admit that you were trying to make money on YouTube. But now nobody cares. I mean, they know. There isn't anybody out there watching YouTube videos thinking YouTubers are not getting money from that. Everybody knows.
Right.
So,
well, and I'll clarify on that because I don't want it to come across as though I sounded like, oh, I don't care if I make any money on YouTube. I've said many times before that I'm using YouTube I'm utilizing it to build a multifaceted brand. The money that would be my end goal is 10 years from now to have a brand, Fish Room Fever, that, I can sell fish online. I can do other things. I'm not expecting YouTube to pay my bills. Do I think that there will be some money that comes in from it? Yes. Do I ever think that YouTube exclusively in and of itself will be a paycheck that I can retire off of? No. I mean, technically maybe, because like my place is paid for. I'm just looking for some land. My cost of living is not huge, so it's not like I need a massive income to be able to.
Jealous.
Well, it's a single wide trailer, so don't be too jealous. But it's mine, so
Still, not having a mortgage or rent payment is a beautiful thing.
But so technically, I probably could at a quicker level. But mine is it's part of creating something else, something bigger, something that's. I don't want to call it a dynasty because but something that I can build it, I can nurture it into whatever I decide to turn it into, whether it's a business, and then eventually pass it on to my kids. Do I think that you can plan to do that specifically off YouTube? If you get lucky, but one day, sooner or later, something, I think YouTube is going to be around for a long time. Don't get me wrong, but stuff happens. Laws come through. Policies change. Who's to say we don't all wake up tomorrow and YouTube says, oh, hey, by the way, you actually need to have 200,000 subscribers for us to monetize you, and you're going to need, X amount of tens of thousands of watch hours. That type of thing.
They've done it before. They could do it again.
So I would never try and set myself up to where I was thinking that YouTube was going to be my sole source of income.
Well, I think that I'm interrupting you, and I apologize.
No, you go right ahead. You're fine.
I think that your philosophy about it is smart. I mean, because I do see, okay, here's what I was trying to say before. There's no shame in making money on YouTube, but if you are someone who is where you're at, 1,000 subscribers, you're just getting started, you're just getting your feet wet, and you were to approach me and say, I am doing this strictly for the money, I would tell you you're making a mistake. Yeah. Because I would tell you that you're going to lose your patience by the time you start to actually make real money.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to have lost your patience by then. So I think it's a mistake for people that are starting from the bottom and have nothing, like I did when I started. I had to use whatever I had. Just look at my videos. You can tell from the beginning. If I was to have been doing it specifically for the money, it would have been a huge problem. But it's also not something to be ashamed of, to be trying to make more money, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, it is what it is. When your channel, you don't even have to have a specific size. If a company or whoever comes to you and says, hey, we want our products on your channel and we're going to pay you this much money, you'd be a fool not to do it. Or you'd be Bob Steenfot, who is in here. That's why I'm saying that. I'm not breaking his balls behind his back. I saw him in the chat, and he said he makes too much money. He wants to give some of it back to Larry and Sergey. But
well, there you go.
And just to clarify, because I think it might have even been the wonderful Miss Overhauls that made the comment that it was Bob that made that message to me. It was not Bob. Bob and I talk about YouTube a lot, but he's never said that to me. But no, I'm talking like micro channels that will call and they're like, I'm not making any money and it sucks. And I'm like, well, what do you want me to do? You want me to call Larry? Hey, Larry,
Yeah.
come on, man, help this guy out. It doesn't work that way. But getting into it for the money, unless you're Will Smith or Jack Black,
Yeah.
getting into YouTube for the money is probably not a good decision. But making money while you're at it, hey, it's a good thing. Nobody should complain about that.
I don't know. I agree with you 100%. I don't see anything wrong with making money off of it. I'm not making any money off of it. I'll start making a little now. But I've told people before, I said, honestly, if you want to support me, use my Amazon affiliate link. I mean, I've gotten a couple checks from them, and it's more than I've brought in on YouTube,
Yeah, that's the Amazon thing is a no-brainer for anybody.
Yeah.
I don't care if you have one subscriber, just do it, because you never know. People are going to go to Amazon and buy a product anyway. So if they're going to click on your link and you get 15 cents off of it, hey, might as well.
I was doing it back before I had, because they want you to have 500 individual users worth of traffic on whatever platform you're giving them. But even before I had 500 subscribers, I was still setting it up. Still had people using it. They closed it after like 2 weeks. So I'd reapply, open another one, and they just now sent me the initial couple checks for that, which like almost like $26, and the other one was somewhere around there. So I just turned around and used them to buy Indian almond leaves and more stuff right off of Amazon to go back into the fish room.
There you go.
But it, even though I knew they were going to close it down because I didn't meet the minimum, I was like, hey, I can still give it a shot. Eventually they'll say yes. I saw Chris is having to move his aquarium multi-tank addiction. Let me see if I can find it. Landlord just told me today that I'm basically going to have to move my 300-gallon aquarium to the opposite side of the fish room. Any recommendations on how I can do that without killing my back? Lots of good friends.
A bunch of people.
Yes. I really don't have any other way. Depending upon.
I've seen everything from, and I've done everything from getting 8 people to carry it all the way to just 2 monsters carrying it by themselves. My 240, this one, 2 people carried this tank like 100 yards up a hill to take it out of my old basement. It was ridiculous. Superhumans, these guys. I would not recommend that.
I can't do that anymore. I moved my 220, and that's what my fiance was like, well, you've carried it before. And I'm like, that was when I was carrying refrigerators every day for a living for 5 years. I can't pick up a fridge and toss it across the yard, but my 220, I carried it in, and me on one end, and I think we had 3 people on the other end. But I can't do that anymore.
I mean, I think I could do it if like one of my kids was going to die if I didn't.
Right. Yeah. Something like that.
But I could. There's no way I'm just going to do it. Like, hey, let me go help my buddy, and I'm going to be on one end by myself of it. No, that's not
backwards up steps. No, I couldn't.
Not going to happen. The other thing I would tell Chris, since you're just moving it across the room, I don't know, he might have a spiral staircase in his room. I don't know, but don't be in a hurry. Just inch by inch if you have to. I mean, with this tank here, if you see the video when I got this tank, we put this tank on the stand. I'm pointing to it like you can see, but we put it at the entrance to the garage, and 7 of us slid the tank with the stand and the tank and everything. We slid the whole thing over to the other side of the room. Nice. Now that stand could literally hold a house. I mean, it is. You could put a Panzer on top of that thing and it wouldn't collapse. So if you got a rickety 2x4 stand, that might not be advisable, but with this one, that worked. So
hey, I've built some 2x4 stands you could park a tank on.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. But I've had some rickety ones too.
Oh, yep. Yes. Best of both worlds there. Yep. The other thing you could do dependent, I've got several of the, and somebody may have mentioned this, but the 4-wheel flat dollies, furniture dollies or movers dollies, whatever you want to. I forget what they call that specific one because we never use those. But I've got a couple now, and I've used those many a times for tanks, depending upon how your stand is. If it's got legs or if it's actually got a base around the bottom, you might be able to get it up onto 3-4 of those. One on each corner, maybe a little lift at a time, and roll it across and then just pull them back out.
Well, and I tell you, the no-brainer way of doing it, the no-brainer way of moving large tanks is to do it with the suction cups and do it pallbearer style. I mean, that's just the way to do it. When we moved these, one of the monsters that carried this was my 24-year-old son. I'm not going to let him do that again, because that was
Right.
when he did that before. And the other guy lives like 30 miles away. I'm not going to ask him to come over. Hey, can you do that again? So I'm going to get 6 of those suction cups and put 3 across each side. And I'm going to get 6 moderately strong dudes, me being one of them. And we'll pick it up pallbearer style and we'll carry it down into our basement, into my basement. I mean, that's the easiest way to do it. The suction cups, if you were going to buy them, they're like $300 a piece. I would not do that.
Right.
You can rent them at like Sun Rentals, whatever that place is called. There's a lot of places where you can rent those.
Okay.
I'm fortunate to be a retailer for custom aquariums. They'll actually send them to me. I have to pay them a deposit and I have to pay for shipping, but I don't have to actually pay to rent them.
Well, that's very nice.
One of the perks.
Right.
But it's like a $450 deposit, you know, because these things are not cheap. So, so anyway, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to, you know, I'll give them a deposit and they'll send them here to me and I'll use them for probably 4 of our tanks. We'll use those suction cups on all 4 of the big ones.
So, Recon, we've got a couple fishy-ish questions. Recon's asking about the big tank behind me in a single wide. Yes, it is. I'm in a single wide, and I do have 40 aquariums set up. Disclaimer: check your own structures, make your own decisions. Don't do what I do just because I did it. What works for me might not work for you. But at one point, a house I'd lived in years ago, my last run in the hobby, all of my tanks were upstairs because the front of the house, when you came to it, it was actually the second floor. It was built on a hill. So the main living was all upstairs, and I had my 220, I had a 175, I had a couple of 125s, and I had a whole bunch of other tanks all on the second floor. But I checked the structure first, and I looked at the beams, and I knew where to put it and where not to put it, and all of those things. So just be aware of all of those wonderful structural things. And I do check my floor to make sure that I'm not getting issues. And if I end up staying, if I don't find a different piece of property in the near future, I'll go underneath the house and I'll put some of those jack screw braces underneath just to keep it from sagging. But Zen Ginger wants to know how many hours I need. I actually do not. I actually hit my 4,000 hours well before I hit my subscribers. So I am sitting on step 3, just waiting for them to verify me. And I'll be in good shape.
That's usually very quick.
Yeah, I think it's been taking just like 3 or 4 days lately for a couple of people that have hit it. Better Time Story says, I'm starting a channel not for the money, though anything to even minorly offset my hobby costs would be great. Yeah, absolutely. But so can I share my journey with other people, especially with my younger son? Yeah, and that's phenomenal. That's another reason that I kind of got started, was because I thought about, what if my dad had a YouTube channel? Wouldn't it be great to be able to go back and look at those videos of him? Because things happen to family movies and pictures and stuff like that. So I think this is something that's great that future generations will be able to, if they want to, look us up on the internet and check us out.
Every single one of my kids and daughter-in-law, they all get a kick out of the fact that I'm a YouTuber. They're amused by it. That's a cool thing. I mean, and really none of them have a deep interest in fish. Like if I get a new fish, they'll come out, they'll look at it. Oh, that's cool. And then they'll go back in the house and they won't really care. But they're more interested in the fact that I'm a YouTuber than they are fish keeper.
It's funny how that's become a thing. I wish I had just gone through with it years ago, because I found on, I guess you could say, one of my other channels, because I have so many different Gmail accounts, but I had uploaded a fish video like 8 years ago, and I want to find it and pull it over and put it on this channel just for giggles and grins. But I was looking and it was just all grainy and it was like a 45-second video. But I go, man, if only I had actually done it and stuck with it, where would I be now? So if you're thinking about starting, the best time to start is now.
The most difficult part about starting is pushing the record button. I believe it was Sean Cannell that quoted that.
Yeah, or the good old saying, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great.
Very, very true. Very true. And I get messages all the time from people that I don't know. And I've had a message more than once of people, you know, I want to start a YouTube channel. I want to get in on this community. What do I need to start? You know,
Yeah.
I don't have much money. What should I do? And it's like, you don't need to do anything. I mean, I'm sure, unless you're Bob Steenfott, I'm sure you have a smartphone that has a camera on it. You're ready. Go.
Yep.
I mean, your quality of your videos might not be as good as Swisky or Corey McElroy, but it's going to be fine. If the content is good, that's all that matters. So, so yeah, that's the biggest hurdle that people have, is just starting. My sister is very much like me, much better looking, of course. She also gets a kick out of her little brother being a YouTuber. But, she was breeding and raising Bernie doodles, Bernese mountain dogs mixed with poodles.
Huh.
And she was like, I want to start a YouTube channel. So, of course, she came to me. She has the exact same personality as I do, which, you know, she's very comfortable in front of the camera. She's always the one hooting and hollering. And I just couldn't get her to start. You know what I mean? She had all the drive, all the ambition, but she just wouldn't start, and she never did. And that's the hardest thing, is just push record. That's the most difficult part. That's the biggest hurdle you have to get over. And then let the real games begin once you do that.
Well, and I'll add on to that ever so slightly a technicality. After you push record, upload it. Don't stress over it. Don't delete it and go, I can do it better. Just record one, get it out there, get your first one done, and life gets easier from there.
They will hear people like me say, I had this one video and I was working hard on it and it just didn't work and I scrapped it. I heard Bob say something about that. It might have been in the stream with you. I don't remember, but I heard Bob say that recently, where he scrapped a video. And so people will hear that and they're like, well, you know, I'm not going to put up my little thing then. No, somebody like Bob or myself, we have hundreds and hundreds of videos. We've kind of set a standard for ourselves, and if things don't go right, we know it, and it's like, okay, this is, my audience is going to have a problem with this. This is not going to work. I got to let this go.
Right.
I haven't done that in a while, not trying to toot my horn, but I haven't had that happen to me in a while, but it happens. But that's for me. That, don't let that hold you back. You know, if you put up a video, you have no standards yet.
And we'll take the same saying from fish keeping. You know, what works for me might not work for you, and vice versa. So don't hold yourself to anybody else's YouTube standards.
And if you haven't uploaded a video, you don't know what works for you. If you haven't started a fish tank yet, you don't know what works for you. So just get over that hurdle and just do it.
So Rose Aquatic says, Fish Room Fever, do you think live streams increase the subscriber count better than doing videos? I think.
There we go.
I think as a whole, no. I think if you look at any person that does live streams, with the exception of the newer creators, specifically in our fish fam, if you will, generally speaking, you're not going to see even a 1% turnout, but we'll give it the benefit of the doubt and say the best you'll probably see is a 1% subscriber turnout for live streams. Now, like I said, the exception to that being, you know, some of the newer channels, you've got 50 subscribers, you might get, you know, 30 people in there. You've got half your subscriber base or subscriber count showing up. But even if you look at Corey, you know, he's got what, 500,000 plus at this point.
Almost 400, but
okay. Well, yeah, I knew he was getting up there. You know, he gets, I've never seen him have, you know, 5%, 10%, You know, he'll get 1,000 people in there. He can do that, definitely. But the majority of his subscribers could not care less about his live streams. You know, they might watch them on a replay possibly, but they're not going to the actual event, if you will. And that's the same I've noticed, not just with the fish keeping community. That's a lot of the channels. I've yet to find a channel that can pull multiple percentage points of their subscriber base into their live streams.
It's true. I mean, and on the flip side of that, I saw a channel the other day, and I can't remember how many subscribers he had, but I think he has like 38,000 subscribers and had 26,000 people watching his live stream. It was Tim Pool. If you're not familiar with him, he's a political guy. Every once in a while, he gets suggested to me, and I'll just watch it. Tim Pool is the guy with the beanie. But anyway, 38,000 subscribers, I think, on his live streaming channel, and he had 26 or 28,000 people watching.
That's crazy.
But that's a completely different field. He's doing political commentary.
Right.
You know, that's a whole different animal there. But yeah, live streaming, I shouldn't even talk about it because it's one of those things. And I don't want to sound like I'm not appreciative of the people that come out to my live streams, because I am. I love it. I absolutely love live streaming. It's one of my favorite things to do.
Well, let me say it for you. Live streaming is not going to make your channel. It's really not. It might get you some notoriety in the field, if you even want to call it that. And like for myself, it has done wonders for me. But you're not. It's not going to do the same that quality videos is going to do.
It's definitely not. But the thing is, live streaming is and probably always will be a completely different animal than edited content.
Yep.
If you were to ask me if I had to stop one, 100 times out of 100, I would stop live streaming and I would keep going with the edited content, because I can be more creative and I can do all kinds of things, and I can edit out every time I mess up, and I can make sure I don't let myself look like a jerk. Edited content is more fun for me to make, and it's also something that performs much better on YouTube. But live streaming, I do believe, is very, very important. I think it's a critical thing for a channel my size, for a channel Corey's size, for a channel your size. It's very important because there's no better way to connect to your audience. It's impossible for me to respond to every comment that comes through on my channel. So it's hard for me to make a connection with people. And even if I don't address every comment that comes through, or chat comment that comes through in my live stream, when you're watching a live stream, you feel like the person's talking directly to you, not to the 400 people that are in there or the 80 people that are in there, whoever it is. You feel like they're talking to you. And so there's a connection that's made. And so I do believe for building community and building your own community, because you have the fish keeping community, and then there's the KGTropicals community, and there's the aquarium co-op community, and the Fish Food Fever community. To build your community, I don't think there's a better way of doing it than live streaming.
I agree 100%.
A channel my size, I lose subscribers in every live stream, every single one of them. Yes, even the one that I had Candy on. No offense, Candy, it's not your fault. It happens with every single one of them. It doesn't matter who the guest is. It doesn't matter. Every single one of them, I lose subscribers.
Okay, there you're back.
Did you lose me?
You just muffled for about 10 seconds, but you were still coming through. It just muffled out a little bit. But
okay. But so it's not something that I use for growth. It's something that I use to connect with my audience. A newer channel, one that's just getting started, a smaller channel, absolutely do it. You will build your audience. You will build that community. It will work out great for you. And yes, it will do wonders for getting that 4,000 hours watch time that everybody wants, that very few people want to admit that they want. But and that wasn't directed at you, James. That was
Oh,
directed at everybody.
I admitted it from the get go. I came on with 70 subscribers and said, "Hey guys, I want to take you on this journey. I'm going to be monetized here very, very soon." And
so yeah, it's a great way to build community. It's a great way to become comfortable in front of the camera, and it does help. But you do get to a certain point where it's kind of stops helping you grow your channel, and then you just do it for the fun of it, like I do.
yeah, absolutely. Well, and that's one of the things. And I'm kind of surprised to hear you say that 100 times out of 100 you would quit the live streams, simply because I feel like I was almost positive. I've heard you tell stories in the past about how you wanted to be that radio personality, how that was, you know, something when you were younger that was kind of your thing, you know.
Absolutely. And that's why I'm saying I love live streaming. I love doing it. But where I'm at with my YouTube channel, I mean, we do kind of use the money that we make. You know,
Oh, yeah,
it's not like we're, you know, taking trips to the Bahamas. I mean, we do. I'm not going to say we need the money yet, but we need it to do the things that we want to do. So we don't depend on it. If I lost the YouTube money, it's not like we would be out on the street. But it would be a horrible business decision if I was to stop with the edited content, because it's probably 80% of my income is the edited content. So if I had to pick one, the right business decision would be to continue making the edited content. But I love live streaming.
Well, and that's one of the things that I don't know how to say that without it sounding overly business aggressive, but one of the things that I've been able to capitalize on, for lack of better terminology at the moment, is the fact that so many people enjoy doing the live streams, but a lot of times they don't get people that want to collaborate, or, you know, people just don't ask them, or maybe like this is something you would never have this discussion on your channel. You know, this is not a KGTropicals audience type discussion, you know. Generally speaking,
I would just expect quite a bit of backlash.
Yeah. So I've kind of set myself up, if you will, to have more of a freestyle talk. Hey, let's talk about some things that I enjoy and you enjoy that you might not be open to do without having, like you said, some backlash or some where's the fish talk? Where's the fish talk? And I think that's awesome, and I love it. And the fact that, you know, yourself and every creator I've reached out to has been open to do it. I've yet to have anybody shoot me down. It's bound to happen sooner or later. Got a couple I haven't heard from yet. I can't believe Joey hasn't answered me in 4 days, you know. I did reach out to him, though, because I wanted to prove a point, and that is go for it. And I
know if you don't ask.
Yeah, I wouldn't be holding true to myself and what I tell people to do if I hadn't reached out and said, hey, would you like to collaborate? One, of course, I'd love to do it. I don't have an expectation that he'll get back to me, but like you said, you never know. It's stranger things have happened. So don't be afraid to reach out there and talk to people and go for things.
My biggest thing with live streaming, personally for me, I really want to kind of put on a show. And I don't mean like do skits like we do on Tanks of Our Lives. And I don't mean that, but I mean, I would like to, for lack of a better word, not address the chat at all. And it's not because I don't want to. It's because if I was able to do what I truly want to do, I would be a very formatted, very strict format. We do this, and this. But it's impossible to do that. I mean, and there would actually be people that would kind of turn on that, and they would have a problem with it. That people like to hear their name said, you know, and so if you completely take that out, that would be a problem. But, you know, Rogan doesn't ever address any comments. Of course, you know, he's not even looking at it. And I don't even know that they do it live on YouTube, but I'm saying But for us, I don't think that a fish tube channel can be large enough to be able to get away with that, where they're not going to address the chat at all. They're just going to put on a show and everybody's going to love it. I don't think that's, I don't think this could do that.
No, I don't think we could. That would be, there would be some backlash from that one. If you were to go live and just not go to the chat whatsoever. I'm already out of the chat a lot more than I am on my my other streams, just because I try and get as much value out of the time that I have with you and my other guests. But I still don't like to ignore the chat altogether. The Zen Ginger says, what's the one thing you two would suggest updating for someone who's just enjoying making videos and isn't concerned with growth speed, i.e. camera, editing software, PC tech, etc.? I will let you take that one first, if you would.
What is the actual meat and potatoes of the question? What should she upgrade?
Yeah, what should she upgrade? She's not. No, there you go.
No, nothing. If you are simply, and you're being genuine when you say this, and I believe the Zen Ginger, if your sole purpose is to just be a part of the community and participate with the community, you should spend no money whatsoever. You should use what you have. Nobody is going to complain about the quality of your content, and if they do complain, screw them.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a firm believer in that. Now, if you are somebody that is trying to grow and you want to turn this into a business and all this kind of stuff, my advice would be completely different. But if you're doing this simply for fun and have no desire whatsoever to grow, do not spend money. Why would you?
I think the answer she wanted from you was a new camera, so she could tell Mr. Zen that you recommended a new camera.
In that case,
I know she mentioned the M50 earlier when we were talking about it. She's like, "Yes, that's what I want."
No, I mean, you know what? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but there are people out there that don't care about growth. They don't care about growing a business, but they do want to be creative and they want to provide good quality and stuff like that. I don't think that's wrong either. I mean, that's awesome, in fact, to be able to create and not have dollar signs attached to it. That's amazing. If that's the motivation, then I need to know a budget.
Right. No, I'm going to agree with you. If, like you said, if you were looking at it from a business perspective, then we would get into the things that we've been talking about in different tech pieces. But if you're not, if you're just doing it to do it, don't spend the money. There are so many quality free things that you can use. Buy more fish. That would be actually, there you go. That's what I would recommend. Get yourself more fish to film, bigger tanks for those fish, more subject matter.
But if you are looking to upgrade a camera, get the most bang for the buck, and not go completely broke, and Zen Ginger super chats a lot, so save some of those super chats. Don't give them to as many to me and as Bob and all of that. Just save them up. Get you that M50. You'll be thrilled. You'll be thrilled. I don't own one of those, but I know how good they are. I've had my hands on them and I've taken shots with them and stuff. They're really good cameras, and a far superior to what you have on your phone. And get a good microphone.
So Frank White would like to know what video editor you use.
I am a Final Cut Pro guy. I am an Apple guy, so I am a total Apple sheep. If I need a product and Apple makes it, I'm going to get the Apple one. That's just the way I am. Before Final Cut Pro, I used Adobe Premiere Elements on a Dell laptop, and it worked fine. It did a lot of the things. It did almost everything a YouTuber would need it to do, as far as, trimming and transitions and adding text and things like that, overlays. It didn't maybe have as advanced color functions and graphics and all different types of effects that Final Cut has, but it was a It was a very good, very much suitable for YouTube videos. Um, you, Adobe Premiere Elements would be compared to, I'm trying to get my cat to not step on my computer, in case you're wondering. It would be the equivalent of iMovie on Apple, which is the free video editing software that comes on a Mac. That's what Adobe Premiere Elements would be. It's like a dummied down version of Adobe Premiere, which is the package that would compare to Final Cut Pro. So anyway, I used Final Cut Pro before that. I used Final Cut Pro. Before that, I used Adobe Premiere Elements. And before that, I used Windows Live Movie Maker. And even that is perfectly fine to use for YouTube videos. Again, you're not going to be able to do the advanced things that I can do, but you can make a perfectly fine YouTube video with that.
Well, and you've even got like DaVinci Resolve, which is free. I've not gotten to use it much because my computer won't process well with it. I need to, that's a whole nother upgrade there. But it's free, and you can even do lighting effects and a lot of the stuff that you get into with the Adobe setup, from what I've seen after watching lots and lots and lots of videos.
I would tell people, I cannot take this cat anymore. I just can't take him. I would tell people, if they asked me, I would say to not use product. Not that DaVinci is not a good product, and there's others. I hate that watermark. God, I hate that watermark. That watermark drives me crazy, and that would be the problem that I have. And there's a couple other ones out there. I forget what they are, but there's free software or internet-based editing software. They work perfectly fine, but that watermark just burns me up, and it kind of screams amateur. I hate the sound.
No, I agree. And I'll be honest, I didn't know you couldn't remove a watermark. I mean, because
you can if you pay to remove it.
Well, see, like I use free editing software. All I have to do is watch an ad to remove it. So I'm used to having that option, that I watch an ad for 12 seconds about Instagram, and then it removes the watermark, and I'm good to go.
And you know what? Maybe I'm a jerk. Maybe they're all that way. Maybe I'm just a stuck-up Final Cut user. I don't know. But that's one of those things that kind of bothers me. But again, if that's all you can do, I'd rather you put out a video that has a big fat watermark on it than not put any video out at all. So, don't be ashamed to use.
And I put a couple out with the watermark before I figured out that I could do that, because I'm like, I'm not paying to remove this. And then I was like, oh, wait, I can watch the ad? Psh, let me do that.
No brainer.
Yeah.
You are not jumping up here.
So we've got a lot of people that are referencing the community aspect of live streams, and I agree 100%. There's nothing that helps build the community like the live streams do. And then I did see a comment, see if I can get back to it. There it is. Better Time Story says, Thursday night live streams have become like must-see TV for me, although I can get to be a long run. Co-op, KGTropicals, River Life, Multi-Tank, and now Fish Room Fever. Yeah, it's a long day if you are there for all of it, and it doesn't end till 2:30 in the morning Eastern time. But we hold a pretty good following as late at night as we are.
That's a lot of fish stuff watching.
That is. And
I tell people, anybody who ever asks, it's not like I walk around telling people this all the time, but I am exhausted after streaming my own stream. Like tonight, when I'm done with yours, whenever that is, it's not going to be, I'm not going to be the way I am after doing a Thursday night live stream. I mean, I've got a whole kind of process that I go through after a live stream of going through and pinning a comment and, doing end screens and all that on it. And I'm just sitting there at my computer, like exhausted, ready to fall asleep, trying to watch Rack. I can never stay up late enough to watch Chris or to watch you, because it's just, I'm wore out after a live stream.
And I understand that. We all understand that. None of the there's never any hard feelings about people not showing up to mine. I understand it's late at night. The funny thing is, I have a hard cutoff time of 2 hours on that stream. just because the first one ran so long, and I've tried to keep that one more of a show. So almost every week I have one that's already set up and ready to go exactly 2 hours after that one, and that's the one that usually runs 5-6 hours into the next day. And that's where the real party happens, and people randomly pop up, and we get people like LRB Aquatics, who I'm just now seeing in the chat, will show up and do water changes for a couple hours and hang out with us. LRB says the power of the live stream depends on the value of the live stream, and I agree 100%. If you're just sitting there and it's let me disclaimer this first. When you start live streaming, it's going to take time to get used to it. It's going to take time to get used to yourself and your voice and seeing yourself up on the screen, unless you're just a natural. So don't let my comment detract from your live streaming experience. That being said, it can be painful to watch a live stream that's lots of silence, that doesn't have a lot going on, or it's 6 people all talking at the exact same time. So it
I'll
takes
give you an example of what you're talking about. I'm going to help you out here. Okay.
Yeah, you be the jerk.
Yeah. RO Aquatics. Yeah. I don't mind either. Yeah. Late night live streams, Cody. Yeah. Yeah. Zen Zinger. That's my favorite part too. Dr. Black, Scotland. Yeah. I love the raw content too, bro. This is what he's talking about here.
Yeah.
You're referring to the chat. You're not reading what the comments are. I'm not saying you're as in anybody in particular. I'm saying
right. No, I know what you.
Anybody who does this, if you're not reading the comment itself and you simply respond to those comments, you're doing that assuming that everyone who is watching is also following along with their stream, with the chat. And I can tell you, 90% of them are not.
Right.
90% of the people that are listening or watching your chat or your stream are simply doing that. They're either watching you or they're listening to you while they're driving or while they're doing something else. And so when you say, oh yeah, Row Aquatics. Yeah, exactly. The guy who's watching doesn't know what you're talking about.
Right.
He doesn't see what Row Aquatics said. I'm picking on Row Aquatics. I hope it doesn't think I'm picking on him. Or she. I can't tell.
This is she. I actually met up with her and Bob Kaler and Ed yesterday, and we all hung out.
I'm very sorry. I didn't mean to say he, but the avatars are teeny tiny on my computer.
They are.
I'm not picking on that person in particular, but that's just the name that's right in front of me that keeps coming up. But I see that so much. And the person's like this because they put the chat right near the camera. So they're like, yeah. Nobody knows what you're talking about. You have to, if you're going to address the chat, Row Aquatics, I don't mind the watermark, LOL. I'm still an amateur YouTuber, or rather fish tuber. Now I've read what she said. Now I can address what she said instead of just answering it because nobody knows what the question was.
Right. And you've also said who said it. So.
Right.
Which that's multifaceted because one, that person gets the quote unquote shout out from the streamer, oh, they read my name, which, we, at least myself, I used to get that. Yeah. Oh yeah. And I do from time to time, but I don't get nearly as giddy. I still like, hey, John said my name. He was talking about the live stream coming up. Versus the first time I'm like, oh my God. So, but not only do you get that aspect of it for the person that asked the question, but like you said, you get that information to the person that's listening in the audience. And another thing that I've tried to point out to people is we have a tendency, especially in the, and you do too. A lot of these people by name versus just their handle, but it's really bad in the, I'm going to say smaller for lack of a better term, but the smaller channels, the familiarity of, oh, hey, Chris, how are you? Well, who's Chris? Well, Chris is Multi-Tank Addiction, right. So that's one of my big recommendations when you are going through stuff and reading and addressing people, to make sure if you go, oh, hey, Chris at Multi-Tank Addiction, or Bob at Kaler's Aquatics, attaching that name, because we get new people that come in the community and they're like, who's Mike? Who's Bob? Who's Chris? And you're like, oh, well, that's Fish Room Fever. That's, multi-tank. That's Fish Tank Barn. That's another piece of advice if you're going to start streaming when you're reading through that type of stuff. FNS Fish Room says, we all love the name shout outs at Fish Room Fever. There you go, buddy.
Everybody does. I mean, and like I said, I do too. I've known Bob Steenfot for a few years now. And I swear to you, I talk to him every single day. And something happens if he talks about me on his stream. I'm like, ooh, I mean, I think to me, it's more the fascination of it. It's like, this is a guy that lives all the way on the complete opposite side of the country from me. He's in Seattle or near Seattle, whatever. I don't know.
Right.
And he's addressing me, even though this is a guy that is a friend of mine that I talk to every day. It's still, I get it. I totally understand that the shout outs are important. I hate when people ask for them and I won't do it.
Right.
Ask for them. But I totally get that. And it doesn't matter how big the channel is. If you're a channel that has 40 subscribers and you have 9 people watching your stream, those 9 people are going to get a kick out of you saying their name. But again, like I said, just understand not everybody is following along with every single thing in the chat. It's like a core group of people that are chatting, and that's great. It's awesome. But the vast majority of the people are not.
Yeah.
How many people are watching this right now? There's 85 people watching. There ain't 85 people in the chat. Not even close to that.
No.
So most of the people are listening, and hopefully they're saying, thank you, John. Finally, somebody said it.
Oh, I agree 100%. And also, I guess I'm a glutton for punishment, but I love to go back and replay live streams, especially when I'm at work. I'll have it playing in my ear if I'm back putting up, stock and that type of stuff. And there are things that get called out of the chat that if you were to just kind of go through and read it like, oh yeah, that's right. Oh, absolutely. I agree with you. I have no clue what's going on a replay, that I'm not going to pull the chat out in my pocket and go scroll through and try and time it to the replay.
I listen to so many streams, and sometimes they're live when I'm driving. And so I don't put the screen on because I've admittedly had some close calls. So I will put the stream on, and then I will turn my screen off so that I can just hear it. And if they're sitting there having a conversation with the chat and not doing it the right way, then it's boring and I'll turn it off. I need something to keep me awake while I'm driving.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Frank White says, this is an awesome live stream. Well, thank you for that. But there are those who feature up to 6 people talking about different things, and those are taxing. I hate to say this. I hate to say it, but I'm going to agree with Bob Steenfot that 4 is kind of the max for me. If you're really good, and maybe if you had 6 dedicated people doing it, you could probably get by with 6. But it seems like 4 is almost a genuine cap on how many people you can have at the same time without having all the talking over everybody. And especially if you get half the people are used to streaming and half aren't, then you're going to have, like, John, you probably have the same thing going to where if there's a gap or a blank, there's dead air, you're going to jump in there and start talking about something.
Oh, yeah.
So you'll have 3 of us that are on a panel and others a dead space, and we jump, and then it's like, oh, no, you go. Or you have vice versa, the other people that just talk over others versus going, okay, I'm going to give like a 36 millisecond pause to see if anybody has anything to say, and then I'm going to do my thing.
I think a genius move for anybody would be if they're going to do those streams. I agree. I mean, sometimes they're really good though, and
they are. Oh yeah,
fun. But it can be a little bit like this person in the bottom left corner is talking about one thing, and then the person over there on the top, their phone keeps beeping and they keep falling down and making all that noise. And it's like I can't even comprehend what's happening. I think what there needs to be, I'm sorry, Reno. I think what there needs to be, if somebody's going to do that, there needs to be like a host, like a real host.
Right.
Okay, this question is for this person. and then not like an open debate, because that's when things get a little out of control and they can be a little disorienting.
Yes.
But they're fun to be a part of.
Oh,
Might
they
not be fun to watch, but they're fun to be a part of.
Yeah. And you can still do it. It's just a lot harder to do efficiently and produce smoothly than it is with, 2, 3, 4 people. Especially when you start getting into, different people on different setups. Who this person might have a delay because they're on a cell phone and their coverage isn't the best, and it can be interesting, but it's fun. It can definitely be fun as well.
So we're going to go back to talking about gear now?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I felt bad. The chat, I thought we had some more gear questions, but I guess not.
Please take this cat away. Take him somewhere. Okay, feed him.
So let me ask you this. Is there some gear maybe I don't know about? Something that, I've covered kind of the basics with the camera and the mic and the lighting, if you will. Do you have any kind of pieces of gear or tech or tips and tricks type of things that you would recommend to us that I might not know about?
Listen, I asked you if we could go back to talking about gear. I didn't ask you to ask me a question that I don't know the answer to.
Okay. That's what I'm here for, though. No,
that's a good one, though. That's a really good question. I'm sorry, I was kind of laid back there a little bit.
You're fine.
I don't know that there is. I think that the biggest thing that most of us do when we are spending money on upgrading what we do, that's what we're doing. We're upgrading a camera. We already have a camera, but we're upgrading a camera because it's got more features and it can do this and it can do that. We're using $8 drop lights that we bought at Home Depot, and we're putting a t-shirt over it, and now we're going to upgrade that to a actual softbox.
I didn't think you could see my lights in their reflection.
Hey, I used those for years. There is no shame in that. So it's we're taking something that we already have and we're making it better. But what do I like? I don't think that there's anything I have that's.
I've got a piece for you. Then I've got a suggested piece of product, and of course my camera bag's still in the car from the adventures with Bob Kaler and Ed and Roe yesterday. But it's a Bluetooth remote. I can start and stop my camera and video and all that stuff. Because that's just a little bit easier than having to run back and forth if I want to set up the camera, run over here, and I can get multiple shots. So like if I wanted 12 pictures to choose from for a thumbnail, I could sit and pose and take the pictures versus having to go and hit the timer, or I guess you could do voice activated possibly. So that's a neat little gadget. I don't know that it would work on a camera, but for a cell phone, that's a neat thing you can pick up for just a couple of bucks off of Amazon.
Yeah, that's interesting. It wouldn't work on my camera.
Yeah.
It would probably work on my phone, though.
Yeah, because it'll hook to Android or Apple. But I like it because when I do film here at the desk, I can see the reflection of my phone screen in the fish tank behind it.
Okay.
So I almost talk to it, if you will, so I can hit it and I can see that it's recording. And it makes it real easy to be able to just stop and start the next recording, or like I said, multiple pictures.
I was the only one that did that. I've done that before myself. Back in the day, I did that. And that's funny that I'm not the only one that would use a reflection off of something to be able to make sure I'm in the frame and all of that. Yep, I've done it.
Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, I've even seen, I can't remember what channel it was on at the moment. But people that have taken the phone setups to the extreme almost and said, well, no, we're going to do this with a phone, and they've got a monitor attachment to it. I saw one that it was the full shebang. It had the lighting and the mic and like a lot of quality stuff hooked on there, and they had the viewing monitor that was attached. Oh, man, this guy's getting really into it.
If you're going to spend all that money, you might as well get a camera.
Yeah, I know. That, and I'm not carrying this thing around. It was an awesome light, but it was like a 1 foot circle, and everything mounted to it, and everything sat great, and it looked really quality. But I'm not walking around doing this. I have a hard enough time most days using my little filming setup if I want to walk around. But yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything that I've missed. We got it. Okay, well, let me ask you this. I'd forgotten about this. On your setup, I know some people will run their audio through like mixing boxes, for lack of the proper terminology at the moment. Do you just run your sounds straight through and raw, or do you actually have it running through an audio, either physical or software setup?
Are you talking about for the stream or for videos? Or
Well, for the stream, and then do you do? Oh, thank you. I guess the second part of that question would be, do you go in afterwards with your audio? And I'm sure you do go through and clean it up and remove your background noises and stuff.
I don't have to as much anymore because I spent big money on a microphone, and it does a lot of that for me. So I don't,
Nice.
but still, like in here, it's very loud in here. You can't hear it right now, but it is a very loud room.
Well, I understand.
And so I do go in and do a little bit of noise cancellation, even with the good microphone. But that's for edited content. With the stream, I have these are XLR microphones. They're not USB microphones, so they have to be powered. And I have a USB audio interface for 2 microphones. It is the Focusrite Scarlett something or other. I think it's the Scarlett 3 or Scarlett 2. I don't know. But that powers the microphone. And then these microphones have very, very little gain to them. It's one of the first things I learned about them when I was researching whether I wanted to buy them.
Okay.
So they sell these devices. I can't. Sorry, that loud noise is something underneath my computer. It's called a cloud lifter. It's basically an inline audio amplifier for these microphones.
Okay.
It's one of the first things I learned. They all said the signal is very, very weak. You have to amplify it. If you're not going to run these into a big mixer that has all of these amps and stuff in it, then you need to have these inline lifters, which is the cloud lifters. So it's the microphones run through an XLR cable, which is right here, that goes to the cloud lifters and then goes to the Scarlett, and then the Scarlett hooks straight into my computer. It's a USB-C, so that's all run straight into here. And there's no, it's the equipment that I have is not altering the sound of this at all for the stream.
Gotcha.
So I wouldn't be able to, I mean, I don't have to remove a lot of noise with this. It would have to be awfully loud for this to pick up noise. Because like I said, this microphone's picking up what's right here. So it would have to be something super loud in here for these to pick it up. So I don't need to have any kind of noise canceling or anything on these. But I definitely need it with my camera microphone. I don't know if that answered your question or not. Uh-oh. I can't hear you now. Are you muted or did I mute the computer?
No, I muted myself to cough and I didn't unmute it. That was my fault. That was all me.
Okay, good.
I thought I clicked it back over. Apparently I didn't hit the little button hard enough. No, that answered my question. And I'm assuming that you do all of your audio cleanup for your videos in production when you're doing your editing.
I do. I've done it every single way. And the most efficient way, there are some people that would swear you have to record your audio separately from your video. And I would agree with that if we were making the next Marvel movie. But
right.
For doing what we do, there's no better setup and there's no more efficient setup than having a microphone that hooks directly into our camera or into our phone that records the audio and video simultaneously and puts it on the same file. That's the easiest way to do it. But I have done it where I have the digital audio recorder in my pocket, and I've got the lavalier microphone and recording everything separate and then syncing it up, and that's all
fun.
It's not hard to do. My software will actually sync it. If you do the clap or you have a clapboard or something like that, it'll sync the audio for you. But I just don't want to do all of that. And to me, the quality was no better than what I'm doing now. So,
gotcha. Well, that makes sense. Rose Aquatics says, I watch YouTube videos and live streams on my Roku TV. How does that impact your channel stats, for lack of a better word?
I'm a little view. It's a view just like anything else.
Yeah. The only issue I will say from the user end of that would be people might not thumbs up nearly as much, because like if I want to like a video I'm watching on TV, I've got to go into the little side menu and pull it up and then tab over to it and then hit the like button. And you're not gonna, well, maybe there's a way to leave a comment on the TV, I don't know, but those would be really, I guess interaction would be the big impact, if any.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, most people don't engage, though. That's the thing. I mean, if everybody engaged, every single one of my videos would have 151,000 likes. Right.
So let me ask you a question. This is not necessarily tech per se, but it is YouTube related. How do you feel? Oh, the comments in the chat, I can see them already. How do you feel about self-engagement? I've seen a lot of channels that when they're talking about when you get started, go through, like your own comment, like your own reply, give it a thumbs up when you're that kind of stuff, because it increases the interaction count on your channel. And
I think that's dumb. I mean, I've never heard that before. And I think that's kind of stupid. I'm sorry if you're somebody that does that.
No, you're fine.
But I don't see what one like is going to make that much of a difference. I just don't see
well, I don't necessarily mean liking the video. I'm more in reference to, so like when I reply to comments, because I'm still small enough that I reply to every comment.
And you should.
I like every comment unless it's something that's not getting a like, but you get what I'm saying. If it's something that, then I throw a thumbs up on it and then I do my reply, and it's become instinctive to hit not the heart, but the thumbs up on my reply, because it's apparently supposed to count as one additional interaction on the comment, which counts as one additional interaction on your channel. And when you're a smaller channel, it's supposed to help with all the wonderful YouTube numbers that, are magical, fluffy unicorn vomit.
With Google, we are dealing with one of the most technologically advanced companies on the planet.
Yes.
I don't think they would allow your own content, your own engagement to count. Just like if you watch your own video, it doesn't count towards your monetization and all that. If it was,
right,
everybody would have all of their own videos on a loop all day long. I mean,
right.
So I just can't see that being.
Well,
there's probably a lot more efficient ways of using your time than to doing that. I think you're doing the right thing by commenting and responding to comments and all that. If I had 16 hours a day to do that, I would definitely do it.
You're much, yeah.
So I think you're absolutely right on point there. Liking your own content and stuff like that, and liking your own comments and all, I don't think that there's so many other things that you can do that would be so much more better use of your time than that.
Right. Well, and I won't say that, I don't know, I guess it's not taking any extra time for me when I'm doing it. But yeah, now I do know that like your own comments, responses to other people's comments do get counted as overall comment interactions for the video. So if you look in a video has 50 comments, 25 of those were 25 people, and then 25 of those were individual responses to those 25 people, it'll say, hey, it's got 50 comments versus saying it's got 25 comments with replies from. You get what I'm saying? So I know it's counting out the comments like
under
that.
engagement in analytics, though, or will it just show that as?
I don't know for sure.
I bet you it doesn't.
I don't know, and I don't know if you would be able. I'll have to look at it.
I mean, if you look at it on the watch page, it would say 50 comments, and if 25 of those are yours, they would show up. But I bet you it doesn't show that in the analytics. I could be wrong, but I bet you if there's 25 comments and 25 replies from you,
Right.
I bet you when you go to analytics, it would show you that video has 25 comments. I've never done it, but I'm just guessing, just because I feel like there's so many scumbags out there. I feel like
there are
people that would just be robotically commenting on their own stuff, and you know what I mean? Driving, I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't think Larry and Sergey would let you get away with that.
That's a good way to put it. Let's see. Where is it at? We had it.
People that when I say Larry and Sergey, do you think that there's people out there that don't know who I'm talking about? Or do you think everybody knows who Larry and Sergey are?
I think there are a lot of people that don't know who you're talking about.
Okay. Sergey Brin and Larry Page are the owners of Google, the founders of Google. So if that helps.
Yeah. I think that there's a lot of people that think Larry and Sergey are just a couple of your buddies over in other
I think it's fun to say that. I mean, whenever I talk about Google, I just refer to it as Larry and Sergey. I just have fun with that.
I don't blame you. I mean, I like the sound of it. Sand Creek Aquatics is asking the top 3 haves. I'm assuming must-haves. I'm going to guess for being a YouTuber.
AVL. Got to think AVL. Audio, video, and lighting. So get you a microphone. You already have a camera, I'm willing to bet.
Mm-hmm.
So get you a microphone that will plug into your phone and get some kind of lighting. Even if it's one of those $8 shop lights, that's fine. Something to light you better. I see a lot of fish tube videos to this day that it's a dude sitting in a dark room and the only light that there is the light from the aquarium.
Right.
I'm not a lighting expert, but I mean, yeah, that's a little light would make a huge, huge difference. It doesn't have to be a big thing on a stand and, you know, whatever Kelvin or whatever. It doesn't have to be all of that. Just something to light you better. So yeah, those are the must-have: audio, video, and lighting.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I'm laughing because the skit in my head for that YouTube hates me thing, that I was actually going to shoot a video to have within that video. In the video I was going to shoot, the guy's sitting there and he has no lighting, and I was going to try and do it in like 144p or the worst possible thing I could film it in. But the guy, he's just in the dark, and he's like, man, I don't understand why this doesn't get views like that John at KGTropicals or whatever. I mean, this is better than his stuff. So yeah, that's exactly it. Audio, video, lighting.
That's the thing, and you can accomplish that for very little money. Like I said, this right here, this microphone is amazing for what it is. It's not as good as this one that's $320, but it's really, really good. And I'm going to break some news here. Peter McKinnon puts this microphone on his 1DX Mark III. It's a $5,000 camera with probably a $3,000 lens on it, and he puts this little thing on it. So that's all you really need to know. If you don't know who Peter McKinnon is, he's one of the best content creators on YouTube. Yeah, I'm a little biased, but that's fine. That's the thing. So you don't have to spend a ton of money. And even if $60 is out of your budget, I get it. I totally understand that. They have nice little lapel mics with 25-foot cords on them that you can buy off Amazon for $15. And they're not great. They're not going to sound as good as anything with the name Rode on it, but they're going to sound a whole lot better than what your camera has. So what your phone has, or your camera, whatever it is.
Well, and I
get a little light, some kind of a little light. That's all you need to do to get started.
I mean, I've got my little Rode knockoff shotgun mic. It's like $17 off Amazon. I thought I was going to get to buy one of the Rodes, and I'm sure the people that heard me say this in the stream the other day are going, oh, not this story again. But I'll be brief. I thought I was going to get to buy one because in the whole being sick, my youngest one who loves to pretend to make YouTube videos grabbed my rig and my microphone disappeared for 3 days. So I was like, that's it. After work today, I'm going to Best Buy and I'm getting one of these microphones and it's like $60. And guess where that $60 is coming from? Your McDonald's fund.
Ooh.
So they found the mic that day. But I was within a couple hours of being able to, sorry, that is my work. I'm on call-ish.
If you wait.
Yeah. So I thought I was going to get one and I'm like, no, I'll have to justify it by some other means. That didn't work out because they're like, hey, here's all the pieces. Here's the cover and the cord. And I'm like, okay.
Nice.
But I think I'm going to do that one upgrade piece before I do any fish events. Which I don't even know that I'm really going to film a lot at the fish events just because I don't want to be in that process and not there. You get what I'm saying? I want to enjoy the people and the time there. And I want to get video, but I don't want to be, I spent the whole time looking at my phone screen trying to get a good shot and not enjoy the camaraderie.
I've said this 100 times. I have not been to a show yet where I haven't left and thought, man, I wish I got some more footage. I mean, every single one of them, I think that. I'm like, I go in there and I've got 4 SD cards and I've got 4 charged batteries and I've got a backup and I've got 3 microphones and 2 tripods and I've got all of this and I don't use any of it. I don't even go through one SD card, don't burn through one battery. I mean, it always happens that way. And I end up regretting it, but it is what it is. You're just so involved in the event and you're talking to people and you just forget the film stuff.
Yeah. I've had that happen a couple of times just with like local meetups. We just have good conversations and then somebody's like, we should have filmed that conversation. There was a lot of good information there. I'm like, yeah, 3 YouTubers standing here. We should have thought to film it.
Yep.
But Mike at the Fish Tank Barn says, I always struggle with pinned comments. I generally don't read the comments or descriptions of other videos. Other than the algorithm, I struggle with the benefits of it. Yeah. Excuse me. Sorry about that. That is definitely one of the things that, well, I'll say at least this way. One of the things that TubeBuddy looks at when it's looking at your video is if there is a pinned comment. But I'm horrible about doing that. I need to start getting better at doing that. And I'm just assuming that TubeBuddy's correct on that. For all I know, it may be wrong, but I generally look at the TubeBuddy recommendations as good ideas.
I can tell you I am horrible at pinning comments, and I can tell you they absolutely work. I'm horrible at it, but when I do it, they work. Whether it's wanting to promote another video or a link to something, they work. They definitely work. But I'm terrible at them. Ever since I've been working with Corey, every video I've done, he's texted me like 20 minutes after I uploaded, where's the pinned comment? I'm like, oh.
I was going to ask if that was one of the things Corey was getting you on.
Definitely. Yeah. And he gets me every time. He's not going to get me tomorrow because it's fresh on my mind now. But one of the things that he's done and has gotten me kind of organized with a lot of stuff, and this is something I would definitely suggest to anybody. I used to believe that the description of every video needed to be absolutely specific to that video, and it needed to be anything and everything, practically the whole script of the video. Not all of my videos are scripted, but you know what I'm saying. Like the whole outline of the video needs to be there, and I need to use all 5,000 letters, and I need to really fill it up. And that's nonsense. The key is having the information in there that you want people to see. Every single person that looks at your description, whatever you want them to see, that's what you need to have in there. So my descriptions now, they've been this way for a long time, but they've gotten a lot better because of my working with Corey. It's a copy and paste thing. The only thing that's different is the first 2 lines, which are the ones that people see when they are scrolling through. And then if there are specific links to that video, like if I do a video about a filter or something like that, I'll have the actual link for that in there.
So you don't have your setting your defaults, and then you can just tweak it minorly versus, or
Well,
is that where you're copy pasting?
That's what I'm saying. It's all the same. Yeah, and I'm sitting here talking like it's 8 years ago, but you used to have to copy and paste it. But yeah, now it's all there already, and I just have to go in and tweak a couple things for that individual video. But I used to actually, it's no big secret, our 10 Things series, which comes back tomorrow, by the way.
Looking forward to that.
It's a scripted series. I mean, otherwise the videos would be 4 hours long. So it's a scripted series. And if you look back, even the very last episode of 10 Things that I did, the entire script is in the description, the whole thing, word for word, because I felt like that was important, and it's just not. I've never had anything result from the description like that. Links and stuff like that, absolutely. But having the whole thing, everybody talking about SEO and all this, it's nonsense. No, it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, so we've got, let's see, Recon's Aquarium says, I do live streams with a $20 webcam from Walmart. It says 720p. I think poor video quality comes from my Wi-Fi connection more than the camera, because the camera records video perfectly. But you all are watching this in 720p. As best as I can remember, that is what StreamYard will dumb it down to, which is a shame. I didn't know that when I got the webcam, because I made sure to get a 1080 webcam, but I was actually using OBS at the time, and I want to get back to that, but I was scared to try it tonight and things go wrong. I switched over to StreamYard when I started.
John is cursed.
Yeah. I wanted to be able to bring people on, and I haven't gone back, but I want to get back over to OBS because I can crank up the output on it and send out better quality video. So depending upon what you're using, this, long story short, what I was getting to was dependent upon what software you're streaming with, it may even cap you at 720p. So don't feel bad if you're not getting the best quality out of it. You can look at some possible options as to why that's not happening. You could try shooting a video on it, see what it comes out if you shoot the video, so you're taking your Wi-Fi out of the equation.
Can I address something that's in the chat?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so far behind. It's something
that I came into this stream wanting to talk about, and it has to do with Recon's Aquariums, what he's talking about right now, because he's talking about can't afford to buy expensive stuff. I need a tripod. Last time I propped my phone up by hanging it on a breeder box sitting on a book. And then he talks about zip tying his phone to something. That's something I came into the stream wanting to talk about, because the common question is, what should I get? What should I spend money on? Any small creator, I'm not afraid to say small anymore, James, because people are not offended by that. Any small creator, and I am a small creator that wants to grow, you can grow by making good content and making the absolute best of what you already have. If you have something that records in 720p, that's fine. Get the best 720p out of that camera that you can. And you'll get that by paying attention to what is surrounding you, paying attention to the lighting. Make sure the tank behind you is clean. Make sure I shave before I'm ever on camera, always. I've got to polish my turd as good as I can. Make yourself as presentable as possible. We're not all gifted with beautiful facial hair like James has. It's a gorgeous thing. Mine's all turning white.
Mine's working its way there.
Get the best out of what you have. If you don't have an external microphone and you don't have the money to get one, that's fine. Get the best sound out of your phone or your camera that you possibly can. If that means putting blankets on either side of you and putting a rug in front of you or a blanket down on the floor in front of you to keep the sound in here and get rid of some of that room noise and stuff like that, do that. It might take you 10 minutes, but it's going to be so much worth it. You're going to isolate the sound and make it sound so much better with proper lighting and proper backdrop and proper backlighting. A lot of people don't think about backlighting
Right.
But that's what gives you that kind of three-dimensional look, is to actually have light behind you. A lot of us don't pay attention to that because we have big shiny boxes behind us.
Right.
So we don't really need to work on backlighting. But you can get a really good, really crisp picture out of 720p. Just make the best of what you have, make the best of the audio that you have, and knock it out with the content. Don't be sitting there like, yeah, so what do I want to talk about now? You know, have an outline, have a structure to what you're doing. Get the best out of what you have, and you don't even have to spend a dime. I don't care if you inherited an old porcelain, disgusting looking antique light from your grandma. Put that over in the corner and put a shade on it and use that to help light yourself better, whatever it takes. Get the best out of what you have. And if you don't know how to get the best out of what you have, just start watching YouTube. Just type it in. How do I get the best audio quality, video quality without spending money? There's a million videos on it. And you'd be surprised at how far you can go and how much you can grow on this platform just by doing that and not spending a dime.
Oh yeah, and you can. I mean, you can substitute with free, but either free YouTube blank or cheap YouTube blank, whatever you're looking at, and you will find videos. Cheap YouTube lighting, free YouTube light, whatever it is you're working on. I mean, I'm like you mentioned the $8 shop lights. That's what I've got going right now. It is what it is.
I'm saying everything I'm saying right now as someone who has probably over the last 8 years probably spent $14,000 on equipment, and a lot of that I'm not even using anymore. But $6,000 in computers, and I'm not trying to like flex my muscles or anything. I'm just saying I've spent a lot of money on equipment, and I'm still telling you, you don't necessarily have to do that. There's going to be a point where you're going to want to spend some money, but in the very beginning, when you're just getting started and you're not making any money from it, and you really want to grow and you want to make a difference and blah, 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 you don't have to spend money.
Right.
Well, you will get to a point where you'll need to, but not in the very beginning.
Yeah. Well, and I made a lot of my stuff goal related. I'm like, okay, when I hit X amount of subscribers, I'm going to reward myself with this little thing, or there's like my audio setup, which is not the best, but it works. I've not got a lot of complaints out of it. It's a $25 microphone and a $17 arm rig. This is for show. This thing pops out of here. This came with it, and it's just, you get this at Walmart for $25, and it actually comes on a little mount, which I actually have screwed into the bottom of my selfie stick that I paid $1 for. That's got my webcam attached to it.
There you go. And you sound perfectly fine. You know what? On this stream right now, you sound better than 90% of the streams do.
Yeah, well, and that's when I first got the setup, and I've got just a cheap piece of fabric to go behind me. I did a troll video. I did a troll live stream technically. Anybody wants to check out the first couple minutes of it because it's kind of funny. I think it was setting my new studio, and I came on and I'm like, hey guys, check this out. I went and I got a $600 microphone. I got this fancy lighting. I've got this awesome studio set up now. And it was literally an $8 curtain that I had sideways that was attached to here that was just black. And this microphone, I'm like, oh, by the way, this is $25. This, you guys, you could set up a quote unquote studio for $75, $100 if you want to do that. But like you said, you don't have to, work with what you've got.
Get the best out of what you have. And it's not as outrageous. It's not as difficult as you might think to take a little bit of time. And like I said, put up some blankets or something like that off camera. You can't see them on camera, but they're there to help with sound. And look, I'm telling you this as being someone who for the first 6 years of my channel had the worst audio on this platform. I'm telling you this as a way for you to learn from my mistakes. Don't do what I did. Take the advice that I have for you now and pay attention to all of those things. Audio is critical. as someone who had the worst audio on the platform for many, many years, I can tell you I still get complaints to this day about the audio on some of those videos. So pay attention to those things. You don't have to spend money to do that. Get the best out of what you have. And then once you start making money from YouTube, that's when you start upgrading stuff and start doing it better, easier.
I do want to say I'm only going to hold you for another 10 minutes if that's all right with you, and we'll kill it at 11 o'clock.
No, that's fine.
I kept you for 5.5 hours last time, and I don't want to.
Yeah, you're not doing that tonight.
Yeah, no. I was going to kill it at 2, but then we got back into good conversation, and I didn't want to cut you off. I do want to ask though about storage. Your Apple MacBook may have 4 bajillion gigabytes of storage, but I know at one point I thought you had like an external storage set up for your videos and things. Do you still deal with that, or have you kind of consolidated and keep it all on the laptop?
No, oh no. I have, all told, like 10 terabytes, but that's including what's on my computers. This laptop has 2 terabytes in it, which I don't have anything stored on here. The only time I have anything stored on here is if there's for whatever reason, a particular video that I want to edit on this, then I'll put it on the hard drive here. But then I also have a mobile 2 terabyte. It's made by LaCie. It's the orange ones.
Okay.
I've seen them. Really, really nice, really fast. It's an SSD, 2 terabyte storage. And I thought I was going to be doing a lot of editing off of this laptop, but I'm not. I actually do all of my editing on the iMac. But I have that for, again, when I'm going to events and I want to be able to edit on the airplane or something like that, I can edit off of that hard drive that way. But on my iMac, I have a 4 terabyte USB-C external hard drive, and I don't remember the brand. It's like, oh shoot, it's not Seagate, which you would think because everything's Seagate these days, but I forget the brand. Pardon me. It's late, but that's what I do all of my editing off of. That's where I have everything. My Final Cut libraries and all of that are all on there. All of my B-roll. I have like 1.5 terabytes of B-roll storage. That's just B-roll.
I believe that.
I kind of have a problem, and I even told Lisa yesterday. I said we need to make another B-roll trip because her and I will get both of our phones and the Canon, and we'll go to fish stores just to get B-roll of the fish that are in the tanks at the fish stores. Because with the 10 Things series, we got to have 10 different things. There's got to be different stuff to look at and all of that. So, yeah, my catalog of B-roll footage is absolutely out of control, but that's on there. All of my videos, which I don't even know why I have them stored there, they're all stored there. So, yeah, that's how I do it. All external storage. I don't store anything on my computer at all unless it's something that I'm currently working on, and that's only on my laptop.
Gotcha. And you said you run around with like 4 memory cards when you're going out, like to events and stuff for your.
I have 228 gigs. I have a 264 gig. I have 264 gigs, 264 gig. 60. Why do I say gig? Gigabyte? Yeah. I got a whole bunch of cards because I've got them for the drone. I've got them for my camera. I got them all over the place. Just the regular. I took it out of here. Just the regular SSD card, or SSD card.
Yeah, well, and I was just saying, Peter McKinnon was talking about there's a black version of those, the yellow hard drives that you were talking about.
Oh, really?
That was on his. You need to go look at that 2019 9 gifts for photographers or 8 gifts for photographers. He was talking about he really wanted to do 10, but there weren't 10 things that he was in love with. But I do recall he mentioned that there was a version of that was black, but it was pricey. And he's like,
I think I know what you're talking about. I don't think it's the same brand. Is it the LaCie brand or LaCie or however you say it? I think the one you're talking about is a Samsung. Isn't it Samsung that makes like a really fast SSD? I think
they do, but the one that he was talking about was the the one that you're talking about. It's the bright pukey color, if you will. And he's like, but they've got a black one now.
They did that. It's orange. That's weird, but they're nice because they have that rubber coat around them, and you can drop them if you're into dropping your hard drives. You can do that, and it'd be all right. I don't know why they did the Home Depot orange though.
Yeah, that's weird. I don't know. I guess maybe in people's minds it represents it being rugged. That's first thing.
Well, and they are actually called rugged drives, so that would make sense.
Oh.
But to answer your question fully, like my dream setup would be like one of those 20 terabyte RAID systems, those big jobs. Because I'm a B-roll hoarder. I store it all. I keep it all because you never know when you're going to need something. For tomorrow's 10 things, I had we have a little bit about how frontosas like to hide in caves. I had a little shot of a frontosa in a cave. I remembered that. I went back and grabbed it. So, I never want to get rid of any fish B-roll. All the A-roll and all that stuff, that's fine. I can get rid of that. But I keep all of the B-roll. Love it. I'm a B-roll hoarder.
How do you even keep that? For me, I'd have a difficult time just keeping that categorized, I guess, or knowing, hey, I need to go here to find like that frontosa clip.
I'll tell you the trick. This is how we do it. I trained Lisa in this because there's one store in particular that we like to go to, which is House of Tropicals, which is in Glen Burnie, Maryland. You'll be close to it when you're in Gaithersburg, and it's the best fish store on earth.
Okay.
We will go there. They have like 500 tanks there. So we'll go there and we'll have our cameras, and the owner is totally fine with us filming. And we don't go to every tank, but we'll go to a lot of the tanks. And the trick is you push record, you film the tag that has what the fish is. And then you go up and you film the fish. Put the camera right up on the glass so that you're not getting the reflection, and you film the fish. So because I've been keeping fish a long time, I know what a lot of these fish are. But a lot of times, if you just film the fish, I'm not even going to know what it is. And so I might not be able to use it because I don't know what it is. Like I could use it, but I'm not going to be able to use it for something specific. So you film the tag that says Serpe tetra, and then you go up and you film the piece. And so then when we get home, I'll sit there for hours and I'll go through it all. And I actually have a B-roll library on Final Cut. And it's one of those deals where it says fish clips, and it has a little arrow. And if you click the arrow, it drops the menu. And it's like, it's usually 150 fish deep. So they're all labeled, and I put those in those, whatever the fish is, I put in that particular file. So if I need clips of frontosa, I go to frontosas, boop, I've got all of my clips of frontosas, Oscars, arowanas, discus, whatever it is. That's how I do it.
Awesome. That is smart thinking.
When you're a B-roll hoarder, you have to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because I would definitely get lost. All right, so it is 3 minutes till. Again, I want to say thank you to everybody that came out tonight and showed us love. I hope you all had a good time, even though it was not the typical fish talk. Another huge thank you to my moderator team. You all putting in the hard work. I appreciate that very, very much. And with that, I'm actually going to turn it over to you for any final thoughts, John, and let you send us on home, because I know that you like to turn it over to the guest.
No, this was a lot of fun. I love talking about fish. I talk about fish practically for a living. So it is nice to get the opportunity to talk about something that's not fish. It's not that I don't want to talk about fish. It's just that I do it so much. Being able to talk about something outside of fish is kind of nice. So thank you for asking me to do this. It was a lot of fun. And, I'll say the same thing I said last time. Anytime, you just let me know. If I can do it, I'll do it.
Well, I appreciate that. You all have a wonderful night.
Bye.